tonight's agenda, we'll be discussing a cruiser order, the PD detail revolving fund, affinity lighting proposals, some mold test results from 2006, 2007 from Pat O'Malley, discussion on the transfer station, some issues that are going on up there and possible reconfigurations, and then old new business, and we'll round the evening out with a few non-publics to discuss some personnel issues and an agreement that we have with a property owner. So, was Mike, was he coming in to discuss the
He said he
PD
was.
stuff? Alright. We'll skip over that for now. Then we'll get right into the affinity part of it. So I just didn't wanna let this sit and get lost, and, cause we had never really made a decision on if we were gonna go ahead with the LED lighting for the town offices, the DPW, and or the fire station, cause that was, we could, you know, separate that from the proposal groups. I figured it was appropriate as well, cause we had issues with how exactly we would fund it, cause we have a budget neutral option that's gonna cost us, what was it, about, you know, $10,000 or $13,000 in interest over 10 years, or to fund the project wholly ourselves, so we could realize all of the energy savings right from the, you know, year one, get that benefit and get the payback about 2 years sooner on the project. Now with, you know, power prices, you know, the notices have gone out to everyone that, you know, all the power fees are gonna be going up substantially. I didn't wanna let it sit too long, you know, cause it's quite a bit of savings, you know, specifically in this building, just on the lighting aspect. And then I know the DPW has a need for a lighting revamp down there, cause there's a lot of areas that are poorly lit, or inadequately lit down there, so this would address like some of those issues as well. With that being said, have you guys thought about that anymore? Whether it's something that you wanna take on now, or any questions that we might have, you know, as far as the proposal goes, from Affinity, and then also where we're getting the money from. So I believe it's a worthwhile endeavor, one way or another, naturally, like, you know, I'd rather save the town, you know, the $10,000 to $13,000 on the interest payments, and, you know, pay for the project ourselves.
My thought is, have we priced out switching out these lights with LEDs, just with our building maintenance man?
Oh, through our own building maintenance?
And yeah, to do a comparison. And I think you can buy the different brightness level lights,
Mm-hmm,
you know, that was a topic.
yeah,
I would like to see a cost comparison, cause again, I've never owned a bunch of buildings, but this seems like a lot of money for light bulbs.
yeah.
Yes.
Right. You
Why
have
is
thoughts?
everybody looking at me?
Oh,
So
do you have a thought, or yeah,
I'd be hesitant to do it this year.
okay. Alright, so you would like to look at it, utilizing our own people.
Do we have any comparison or numbers on how much was actually for lights versus the equipment that's being run and everything else?
We had this, was a return of investment,
That's just
Antici-
return on the investment from the electric bill. But does that electric bill actually take into consideration that the computers, the monitors,
No, they don't, Eversource doesn't separate.
no, it doesn't, and you know, we also have electric heat now with the new air conditioning system,
Mhm.
that's supplemental there. And I'm just kind of wondering, you know, where the balance is gonna be on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So the only thing we can do is have, was when did the air conditioning system go in? Was it here for last winter?
No,
Mhm.
January. Official turn on date was January.
Okay, so if we can compare the electric bill from, let's say, January, February, and March of, well, even up to date, of this year versus last year, that might give us an idea of
It's way more.
it's way more.
then you'd have to
We-
factor in the propane bill as well,
And oil.
and heating oil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then would have to be combined to get a,
Except
I'm
the heating
interested
oil
in
was
that
shut
as
off
well.
this past winter because
no,
No, it
Oh,
doesn't
it
get
wasn't.
completely shut off because those aren't capable of heating the entire building.
okay. Alright.
so I'm interested in that as well, to see how we did, I mean, there's not much we can do about it now.
No, there isn't, but you know, to have some kind of numbers to use as comparison.
Yeah. But this, I think, with the presentation they gave us, there was a 9-year payoff.
And that was
For the
before
light
the
bulbs.
electric rates went up too.
Yeah.
So it would probably be faster.
Well, the electric rates haven't gone up yet.
Yeah, August 1st.
Oh, was it? I thought it was October.
Nope, August 1st.
So the attractive part of the lease purchase is in paying that finance charge is that it's budget neutral, so we just budget the same amount as we have for our, you know, power expenditures.
Mhm.
And then they just apply the savings like to the
Right.
bill, yeah. And then there's no additional out of pocket to us.
For that part, but the interest is still out of pocket.
Well,
It just
theoretically
goes
it's
over.
paid through the savings
Right.
as well.
Yeah, it just it seems to, oh, I agree with Jason about it being a lot of money. And how much, do we have a trust fund for building maintenance?
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have extra money in there?
I'm not sure on what that total was, and actually that was,
You have a current one?
oh. Yeah, this doesn't have balances on it though, it's just what was put in, like through the warrant articles. Like it doesn't have the running, we'd have to get that from the trustees.
And whatever, if I understood it correctly, whatever was approved this year isn't really available until next fiscal year.
Alright.
So we'll do a little research.
Yep, a little bit of research on that,
Okay.
cool.
And then put it on the schedule for next week.
Not next week. Probably in the next, like, few weeks or so. cause there's, quite a bit that has to be looked into, like as far as, utilizing our own, people and pricing out fixtures. So that's a whole nother element that none of us have any knowledge
Right.
into, so.
I think
It's gonna
Mark
take a
has
little
looked
bit
into replacing, cause yeah, I think you have to, in order to replace the LED bulbs themselves, you have to replace the ballast with a different kind of ballast. So,
LED
think
come take
he's-
a
Not
ballast.
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, you
or
you
something,
bypass
there's
it.
some
But there's-
other,
there's a pi- there's a
yeah,
power
but there's
supply.
some other thing that you have to replace instead
Yeah.
of the ballast, it needs something else, like
Right.
you can't, it's not just like plug and play, I think.
No, you're,
Not
yeah, you're
100.
right, like the ballast has to be taken out or bypassed,
Yeah.
there's like another
Dis-
piece.
disconnected, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and then there's
I've done a number of them in my shop, I think I got a dozen lights in my shop, and it takes about 10 minutes per, it's pretty easy, you can leave the ballast in place, you just wire around it. But it's pretty easy, I mean, it's a lot of lights here, it'll take a little while to do it, but it doesn't take much skill to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
and really, if you're gonna do that, you can buy the bulbs, it's an easy order, I bought like 48 at a time. And then you can do them as you wanted to in this whole building, it wouldn't take that long. So you don't need to jump into the whole
that's
thing at
what I
one
was gonna
time, you
break
can
the
say-
project up a bit.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're concerned, so the problem I had was brightness, cause there's like 10 different levels,
yeah,
and it's not like you can change the bulb easily, it's well, you can't replace the bulb. So you put the bulb in, if it's too bright, you have to order another bulb.
right,
Changing them's really easy once they're
Right.
wired in, but if
Just
you're
know
doing
what
the
you're looking
DPW
for.
as well, you could do one of the offices down there in that area, and then get a test if you like that color or not, and then do this building.
Alright,
But I'd recommend doing it internally if you can, because it's really not that challenging, it's just a lot of work, just because there's so many fixtures, but nothing would change, it would just be new bulbs,
yeah,
all these fixtures would stay the same.
okay,
And then if we do run into some dark spots, which was a topic that came up during the whole thing, then we could just figure out what it takes to get a couple of other fixtures to fill that spot in.
yeah,
so we wanna do September 13th,
sure.
okay.
Good evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Alright, good evening, chief.
Evening, how are you?
Yeah, sorry, you weren't right here, so we just jumped into the next
Yeah, it's-
thing, yeah, so I apologize
We've
for
had
that.
one very, very busy day nonstop, so
Yeah,
I ate lunch at 4 and I came
Oh.
over here, so,
There you go.
yeah.
alright, so you have the floor,
Mind if I sit here?
sure.
Thank you. So I believe you guys called me here you wanted some information on, I think there was 2 things.
Yeah.
One was the cruiser, and then I think we just wanted to have maybe start a conversation about, potential funding for the renovation project, so I don't know what you have for questions, I guess we could start with the vehicle if you guys are alright with that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you have questions, then,
no, the vehicle, yeah, that came up first, so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just seemed like I understood your reasoning, like, in the message that you had sent, like, cause the order time
Right.
is so far out, but it seems like it's ahead, like, of our schedule that we had, is it? Like, for the
No.
replacement on that vehicle?
no, I don't believe so, the vehicle's turned 8 years old in July. And I don't know if we've had a cruiser 8 years ever.
Mm-hmm,
And by the time I get the delivery of this vehicle, that vehicle will be 9 years old. Cause it's 10 to 12 months to get the vehicle and then 5 to 6 weeks on the outfitting time. So might be driving that cruiser by July
mm-hmm,
next year. And then we also have to look at, my understanding, what I was trained is that we usually buy a cruiser 2 years in a row, a year off, buy cruisers 2 years in a row, a year off. And then that's the cycles, and they're going out about every 5 years, 100,000 miles or so.
yeah,
A lot of it got messed up in the cycle, probably dating back to 2018 and 2019 when availability was hard because of COVID, and you know we tried to order cars at one point, and so we have 4 cruisers altogether for the PD, and then we ended up getting pretty much 2 cruisers in 2020 because the rotation got messed up, and then you know, Ford pretty much shut production down, and getting cruisers was very difficult.
Yeah.
And there was long waiting periods, and it's not much better now. As you can see, it's 10 or 12 months to get a car. So our prior rotation is really out of whack. We really need to reset because we don't have any reliability in getting cruisers. Before we'd order a cruiser in 30 days, you'd have one,
Yeah.
right? And then now it's a year. So we need to start looking ahead and ordering cruisers.
That's what it just seemed like a lot, because I know I can think of 2 cruiser purchases since I've been on the board.
Yeah, we got one, I think, the very last month of 2019, and like one the beginning of 2020, both 2020 models.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, we had a 2013, we had the 2015, I don't remember what it was before that. I think they were down a cruiser completely when I started here.
Yeah.
They were rolling with 3 because one just died or something. So we were in a position where all our cruisers were aging, and that's why we ended up with 2 2020s, because we were in a position where they were becoming very unreliable.
Yeah.
So like I said, the rotation really is off, but it needs to be reset, and we need to factor in the 8 to 14 month turnaround time.
Yeah.
And talking with the suppliers, not Ford Direct, this MHQ company and other fleet services, they don't really see us coming out of this anytime soon.
Mm.
You know, so now I'm looking at, if I need a cruiser a year from now, I'm looking at ordering it now.
So we have the 2 2020s.
Correct.
What's the next?
2017.
The 2017.
Right, which would be next in line. For
After this
rotation.
one.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this one's a 2015, but we took delivery of it in July. We actually put it into service in the very beginning of July 2014, even though it was a 2015 model.
Okay.
So as of July, first week of July, this cruiser's been in service 8 years, and as of today, I have 126,700 to change on it. And a year from now, I'm probably looking at 140,000 miles on it.
Mm.
And it's been a good car to us, but if we don't start looking to replace it, sooner or later we're going to run into an aging vehicle's maintenance problems, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things when we're trying to avoid having cruisers down and out of service. Like Cruiser 3 that got hit several weeks back. Now we're at 4 or 5 weeks. It's pretty much out of service. So that car's been between the body shop in Townsend Ford for new axles and steering rack. It's still out of service.
Mm.
So, and that's another problem. If we do have a car go down nowadays, the turnaround time for parts is unknown. We've been pretty lucky on the Cruiser 3 that got hit. I thought we might be looking at a few months before we get it up and running again.
Mm.
And looks like we'll probably have it by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep. Talking with Townsend Ford today.
So then that Cruiser 3 represents
That's
which
our
model?
newest Cruiser.
The newest, the 2020s.
Yep.
Okay.
It's got like 20-something thousand on it.
Yeah.
But, Officer Frederick was in his own lane, the lady crossing his lane hit him almost head on, and, caused $8,000 worth of damage,
Mm.
so.
So we have 4 cruisers, and
Correct.
then your
All
Chiefs,
of
right?
them, no, all of them.
That's including you,
Correct,
which doubles as a cruiser.
correct. Yeah, I patrol with it every day when I'm out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking forward, I know we have, ample funds in the cruiser revolving, fund for this, and, it is my opinion that it's the right time to do it.
No, I just wanted to point out that, you know, obviously, when the previous, prior to the last election, we were programming $40,000 for a cruiser. And then with the March one, that had been up to 50,000.
Correct.
And that, when you look at the price on this quote of 54, that whoever's doing the CIP probably needs to factor in an inflation factor
Mhm.
for the next one.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's no secret that the cost of vehicles are very fluctuating, but they're going up. And you know that the 54,132 on this car, if you look at line, I think it's, so you get the first highlighted section and then the second unhighlighted row, estimated 2023 model year increase. So that's another reason I order now. If we do get a 2022 model, that 3914 comes off the price. That's built in as a, hey, if they don't give you a 2022, there's a 10% increase in the cost for 2023. Ford already said it's coming out 10%.
Yeah.
So I put the order and he's like, hey, if you want a 2022, you probably might already be late, but there's one, he found one in the system that actually had a VIN number. It's a 2022. He says, if you don't take this car today, it will be gone, and then you will be stuck with a 2023 model. So I said, well, I'll take that one, hoping that we save the $3914.
Yeah.
So it would reduce the cost by $3,914 if we get a 2022 model.
Did he act on it? You said you wanted it.
Oh yeah, I signed the quote and sent it right back.
So then this 54,000,
Reflects that $3,900 in it.
it does.
Yeah. So if we, like I said, if we get the 2022 model, we're taking $3,900 off that 54,000. So we're looking around 50,000.
50,000.
Oh, I see.
Cause it's built into the price now, cause if I didn't build that into the price, then later on you'd have to come back and say, well, you owe us $3,900.
I see.
So my hope is that we actually get delivery of a 2022 model.
When would you find out? Is there any way to do a contingency? No.
He put the town of New Ipswich on that 22 Cruiser with a VIN. What that means is when it's a VIN, it means it will be manufactured.
I see.
So they have a bunch of cars in the queue with none of the last of the VIN models, numbers in place. That indicates to these guys or other fleet services that vehicle has not been officially designated to be built. And if it doesn't get the build time, then it gets the 2023 stamp, and the price goes up $3,900. So that's like I said, I'm hoping we get the 2022 model, and that's the savings we can get off that, if you want to call it savings.
Mm.
So the oldest cruiser now is that,
That's the 2015.
and you said
This
it has
one's replaced the
130,000?
It has 126,700.
Have cruisers followed the trend of, like my cars, I used to sell them at 100,000
Sure.
because it wasn't worth it. Not anymore. Now I wait 200,000.
Right. Yep.
Some of
It's
three have cruisers kind of followed that. Should that be
Well,
expanded out? Or?
they get driven a lot different than a day-to-day car of people use for commuting to work and stuff. It's not the same. They're a tool. They get run hard. They get chased down roads fast with bumps. You're really looking at increased maintenance cost as these vehicles get older.
Sure. I'm just wondering. Have you noticed that they are lasting better?
No.
Not
I've been
at all.
driving cop cars for almost 20 years, and almost every one we've had, by the time there's 100, 120,000 on them, they're rattle boxes and they're trouble. Whether it's the Caprice, the Tahoe, the Ford Interceptors that we used to drive, they get ridden hard. And
Yeah, and I understand they idle a lot.
yeah, they idle
Compared
a
to a
lot,
normal.
and
Normal.
it's one thing. I have two concerns. Two is, how much do we wanna spend on this car? It's coming, right? It's 100 and something thousand miles, it's a cruiser. And then two, it's a huge inconvenience and a safety issue to have a car go down and go out of service. It puts the PD in a bind when we go from having an adequate fleet to being even down one car. It's a challenge. And then the other time that it takes, every time I run a car for maintenance, it's 2 cops, and we leave town, right? It's Townsend, it's Millett's, it's Village Mobile. It's a lot of our time. So not only are we paying for maintenance of a vehicle, it's taxing the agency man hours wise and taking away from tasks that we should be doing, police work. It doesn't sound like much, but sometimes, man, we just run the cars around between oil changes, inspections. You know, we get new tires put on for the winter tires. We get summer tires put on. We have a car breakdown. We have a car get hit. It just doesn't end, right? Like even 4 cars is a lot. But we work really hard to keep them well maintained and maintenance schedule as far as, you know, your oil changes and your lubes and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and like I said, it always takes 2 people to get these cars places. You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so it sounds like the time is now on this, and
yeah,
you know, hopefully there's no issues like in between. You know, we're already in that overage point. And I remember Chief Carpenter coming in to speak on this, and it was just that fact that they get, you know, used so different
Yeah.
than a regular passenger car that we use like for ourselves.
Right. Yeah, and this car's been good to us. Like I said, we're 8 years in now, and it's been a relatively low maintenance car. It really
Knock on
has.
wood.
It's been a good car to the town. It really has, and I'm just looking in towards the future. You know, if we don't replace it now, when will it get replaced? If I go and, you know, is it 2 years from now? Is it 4 years from now? You know what I mean? Like, cause I have to start looking at, you know, replacing that 2017 at some point and keeping up with some type of fleet rotation. And I'm certainly open to more conversation about that, but,
And like you said, you don't know how long it could take a year to get the car, it could take more,
right.
so.
Yeah. It's very challenging at this point.
So you've looked at the cruiser, the trust,
104,000 in there.
okay.
Yeah.
Of which,
That's all for the CIP for the cruisers.
yeah.
But was there some put in last year?
It was 50,000 put in last year.
So is that
For this year, for the March vote,
So that
That's
only
including
leaves
that.
us
That leaves us-
54,000 to
correct.
spend this year.
No, we can't spend it this year.
No, I'm saying if we put 50 in, it's 104, we only have 54 to spend, which would be,
Yep.
be right on there.
right on that bubble, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what it's
right.
for, we're not,
Yeah, I mean, that's what
we're
it's
not
for.
having them to run,
Yeah.
see how big we can make it go, we're,
Right.
Yeah, no.
we have it.
And we're actually, we're fortunate to have 104,000 in there. That's a good thing, cause, you know, if we get something happen to a cruiser, go down, you know, and we need to buy one right away, then it's nice to have that little bit of a buffer.
You can't buy them right away, you just told us.
I know, but
It's a year ago.
I even asked about, you know, the guy's like, would you be interested in a used one? Like, we might be able to find you a used one. I'm like, not really. I'm not really interested in a used cruiser. It's somebody else's problem. But, you know, like, it's ironic because I just had a conversation with my officers just before that cruiser got hit. I'm like, hey guys, I really need you to be very gentle with the cruisers. Be very careful. If you wreck one of these or we wreck one of these, I don't know when we're gonna get another one. Right? Because of the delay. And sure enough, like a week later, Mark gets hit, you know.
Yeah.
I was like,
So have you looked at the used ones at all?
I have not. No, the market's not, there's not that many in the market either because they are being bought because people can't, agencies can't, get a car delivered timely if they're in dire need. So, you know, right now we're in a position where, you know, waiting the 12 months barring anything from happening, we can do. But if we lose a cruiser in an accident that gets totaled out or some way of fire or burnt or, you know, whatever the reason the car goes down to where it's permanently out of rotation, then we would be in a pinch.
Alright, so, correct me if I'm wrong, but it requires like a vote for the board, like to authorize the purchase of the cruiser, no?
Not
like
that I'm
to come
aware
out of that,
Yeah,
no?
not that I was aware of with I think when it was voted on by the voters and that was,
Or there's different authorities over the different trust funds.
okay,
And I thought that the select board had,
It's right here,
what's that?
Debbie included it in her.
No, that's
That's a different,
yeah,
that's the
Oh,
revolving.
this is the
That's the
police
next
detail.
topic.
yeah,
Oh.
that's the revolving police
Yeah.
detail fund, yeah. But sure, if you guys look into it, and I just wanna let you know that, as much as I hope this doesn't happen, in talking with Mr. Barnes, who's our sales rep for this region, he's like, Mike, if you back out, I will sell this car immediately, it's okay. So you know, if for some reason that we can't buy this car, he's like, you're not stuck with it, we will sell it immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you need to look into that, that's whatever
Okay.
you know. And you know, I made sure that that was clear that hey, something crazy happened. I don't want to be stuck with a car that we can't buy. But again, my recommendation, it's time to move. It's time to order a cruiser, and if we don't order one now, we're just putting ourselves a year out. So whenever we order one.
Well, does the board have any objections to ordering it now? Using the capital reserve.
I know, it's the dollars, like to make sure everything like lines up the right way, and I know that we don't have to make payment until we're taking delivery of the
Right.
vehicle,
Oh, is
so that's
that
not
right?
gonna be until next year anyways.
So there'll be another 50 in there.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Potentially, yeah.
well, no, there would be, cause then that whole 104 becomes available,
Right,
like at
that's
the
what I'm
That's
saying.
true,
Yeah.
even if
That's what I'm
this
saying.
warrant
So
didn't pass
Yeah.
Yeah.
next year.
That's one of the
still
things I
good.
looked at is by the time we
Yeah.
get for delivery, it's well past March.
Yeah,
So the order's already in.
I signed the quote and sent it back knowing that we could back out, but I didn't wanna miss the 2022 model or at least a chance at getting it.
okay. So that where that comes in is just knowing the exact dollars, you know, like in that approval for expenditure, cause we probably, you know, do you have an idea of when they might know if we're gonna get the 2022 or,
He couldn't give me a date,
yeah,
it just comes straight down depending on when Ford tells them that it has been manufactured.
but, so there's no harm in just letting this sit just the way it is now,
No, it's ordered,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
like as far as
And then we can kinda
MHQ
see over the
is
next couple
concerned,
months where,
right.
yeah,
As far as MHQ is concerned, you know, that car's been tagged for us and it's on hold for us.
okay.
Yep.
Alright. Okay,
Well, I think that we, you know, if we wanted to commit to it now, that's if we wanna commit to it now, that we just go for the higher price, and if we, you know, if it turns out that there's some extra money saved, that's not a big deal. Because you know, does the dealership or whoever's doing it actually do the retrofit of all the equipment also?
Correct, it's a one-stop shop, which makes
Okay.
it nice, they
Unlike.
they procure the car and all their
Mm.
electronics and.
so
yeah.
the trouble
Unlike
with
the-
that, like from this level, is that without knowing the exact dollars, and since it's so close with it, like if we approve the expenditure of 54,132.07 today, or up to 55,000, but we're only actually authorized to allow up to 52,000 because that's all that's available to us. Like I don't want that contradiction, so I just wanna make sure all the numbers like wash right and
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and it won't delay anything.
nope,
So we're not in the same boat as we were with the backhoe.
Right.
Mm.
And I guess the other thing that could be looked at is simple math would tell you there was 54,000 in the account when we put another 50, but I mean we could double check to make sure that's the reality, right?
yeah, yep.
I'm sure that's it, but if a quick look would say, hey, before March vote, did we really have 54,000 in there or was it something different? I'm assuming it's 54,000,
Yeah,
but I think it's worth a look.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
if we know it's 54, then it gives us a little better feeling.
yeah, well, it's always a better feeling when
Yeah.
you're looking at
Right.
the actual numbers instead of,
And maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get the thing in 8 months, you know,
yeah,
we'll see.
alright, cool, yeah, so thank you for thinking forward on that, and, when are you gonna be proposing the last cruiser for replacement, do you know that? Yeah, like, do you have that in mind?
For the next one,
Yeah,
yeah, I would say that if we're still looking at this type of turnaround, that I would be proposing it next year. And we
Okay.
probably still wouldn't take delivery of it to 2024.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that really cut, that whole thing really tight and close and then,
Down the
yeah,
line, yeah.
yeah. So that's why we have to start putting more into that.
Or looking at it,
line.
yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a
Yeah,
bit,
and I
just
think
It's
enough.
nice to have it
Yeah, and I think
right
you
there.
can fine
Yeah,
tune it.
yeah.
I think you can fine tune it.
I can get the numbers of what's in the trust fund for you in the mail tomorrow,
Okay,
okay?
alright. Debbie, did you wanna take that on or like
I'll
how
send-
are you gonna do it?
I'll send it to Debbie and Debbie can distribute it to you.
Okay,
Or you're gonna talk with the trustees.
I already have the numbers, I just didn't bring them in.
Oh.
I've spoken to the trustees already,
alright,
not about this specifically, but about other things.
I actually might have it too, already, I think Benty gave me, a printout of everything,
yeah.
of all the,
Well, I know we have it as of January 1
right,
of this year, like from way back when.
Yeah,
But I
mine's
didn't know
got
if
it
they
with
had-
what we added with it's got the thing plus the amount that was going to be added this year,
Okay,
so it makes it easier to read.
alright.
yeah,
And
I think,
you have the actual, like the printout, like over PDF, okay,
And originally I was gonna try to stay with the sedan versus the Ford Explorer, cause they're a little less money,
yeah,
but, you can't get them. Like Dodge, I was looking at the Dodge, they make a 6-cylinder Dodge Charger all-wheel drive, which this car's a 6-cylinder versus the Hemi.
yeah,
And, so I'm like, I'll do that, it'd probably be a couple $1,000s less.
mhm,
But Dodge told the fleet services that like we're not even at the time they're like we're not even producing Dodge Chargers in 2024 or 2023, so they couldn't get them. But then when 3 days after I signed this, he calls me back. He said, "Look, Dodge just said they're gonna start making Chargers in February next year, but they will guarantee no one a car. If you get one, you get one. If you don't, you don't." I said, "Well, I can't bank on ordering a car, waiting 9 months, and then telling me you can't have one."
yeah,
So that was what I was trying to do for multiple reasons, have a sedan in the fleet and 2, less money, but it's just, it wasn't, it's not there.
yeah, yeah,
And then you look at the Tahoe, which is a police vehicle, probably more money, more gas. You look at the F-150, which is a police interceptor, pursuit rated, more money, more gas.
yeah,
So this is about the most, it's our best choice, really.
Yeah.
cost effective,
Yeah, and this one is the hybrid,
yeah,
which is gonna give us a better gas mileage, better when you're idling. And at $4, $5 a gallon of gas, I think that's prudent.
so you have to plug it in,
It's just like a Prius or another electric motorized vehicle. When it's running on the engine, it's charging the batteries, and it's sufficient, and you don't need a surge of power, then it will run off electric. And then when you need power, then both electric and the gas motor would kick in. When you sit in the idle time, your engine should kick off and then run off the battery during idle. And
Yeah.
it will switch back and forth. So it's not like 100% one way or the other way. It's a fuel management system that goes back and forth between battery powered and engine
like a
powered.
smart car,
Smart car. Pretty much most agencies now are going that route anyway. That's kind of like gonna become more of the norm.
mhm,
So.
okay. Sounds good. Then we'll move on to the police department detail revolving fund and what types of expenditures we can make out of that.
Right.
So from what I've read, the improvements that have been proposed could be funded through that revolving fund.
I think if all of us are reading it the same way, if you're referring to the email from Stephen Buckley,
Yeah,
yeah, it seems like it fits. So Deb and I had a few conversations about it. She was kind enough to reach out to Municipal Association, and Buckley was kind enough to get back to us, and it looks to Deb and I, the way we read it, looked like promising news. And if everybody's comfortable with it, I am too. How we doing?
How are you?
So, and did you get the breakdown of the revolving fund and what the balance is?
I know we're pushing 89,000 and change, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
And I just wanted to make sure that that accurately reflected the reimbursement to the general fund for the different details.
Yeah, I mean, I don't track the fund, I just know the balance,
Yeah.
right, so, I'm confident that that's what must be in there.
Yeah.
So we just would have to decide, like, we can't deplete the fund, cause we still need to fund the day-to-day operations of that, the meaning of that fund, or what it's used for at this time is to cover the detailed costs, and then the payment to the officer while we wait for payment,
Yeah.
right? So,
Which, yeah, like even with the proposed cost of up to $50,000, like that would leave roughly $40,000 in that.
yeah, I think if we leave at least, I think a comfortable number is 35,000.
To leave
leave
it.
it there.
And the other thing, Sean, that wasn't up to 50,000, that was probably around 50,000.
Yeah, so-
And we have yet to get a hard bid on it,
Yeah.
so I just wanna point that.
Yep.
So leave 35,000 in there minimum.
And that would cover,
I think it would be ample. And that covers, most payments are net 30, net 60, and then sometimes we're chasing people for payment of a detail, it's, 60, 90, 120 days out. We're finally send them the more aggressive letter
Yeah.
in the mail, and, but traditionally it's usually not under 30 days and around 60-day return for payment.
Yeah.
So we have to carry that expenditure for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And then that fund could also be used. In the past, we've used it for, we had the detail car that needed, $1,200 or $1,300 worth of repairs, and we used that money to make the repair to the detail cruiser. You can use it for detail equipment, safety clothing, the reflective clothing, warm gear for details. So we haven't used it to its full capabilities, but all that are options, and just like this one,
Mhm.
those are options.
so that would explain like why there's a $80,000 balance.
Right. What happened is for many years, from what I was told, because when I started here 5.5 years ago, I had made several inquiries to Chief Carpenter about like how much money is in the fund, and he was like, well, I've asked that same question for a long time and I can't get an answer. And then when, I think it was Miss Langill,
Linda, yeah,
Linda?
Linda,
and I think she took on a task somewhere around 2018, 2019, whenever she was here, and somebody did some reconciliation with that account. So I think for many years it sat there with no money taken out, because nobody really knew the balance. That's what I was told.
It wasn't I heard the same.
Reimbursing the general fund.
Right,
I have no idea, and so, cause I went to the chief a few times, and hey, he's like, well, I've asked for the balance and I'm not getting it, so I don't wanna ask for money to come out if they don't even know what's in there. And I'm only telling you what I was told.
right.
Cause I had ideas about equipment and stuff that we could utilize at the PD that this fund would fund. And when Linda was here, that's when, it seemed like it got taken care of.
Okay.
And at that point, it was, I don't know if you can look through the numbers, you probably might see some negatives or debts to the account. And
Yep.
some funds used.
Yeah, so, when I was talking to Carleen about it, I guess, so they pay the details out to the officers, and then quarterly, they move the money from the fund back to the general fund.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like roughly 4,500 a quarter for this year.
Yeah, we've had a pretty
45,
light detail
35.
year this year for sure.
Yeah, so this came from Carlene,
Yes.
okay. So I do have like some other questions about it, cause it's almost like the type of balance that you'd think that it would run with started in March of 2020, where there's only like the February balance forward was $527, and then at the end of March there was a transfer from the general fund into this account for $75,772.10.
So I don't know anything
So I don't know
about
what that's
any of
just,
the movement.
it's odd, yeah,
This was in 2020.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Um,
I wonder how that happened.
I have no idea. I can only guess that maybe it wasn't being properly attended to, but I have no idea.
But we don't see from previous to that.
yeah,
No.
I can ask Carlene
So
Okay.
that's
about
kind
that.
That would be good to have an explanation,
Yeah.
cause that
I didn't
really
even
jumps
notice
out.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it goes backwards,
Okay.
2020 is
Oh,
here,
I see.
and then it was 2021, and then 2022.
Now, if it was decided this account was not a good avenue for funding the reno, chief, would there be any money left because of lack of staffing?
Sure.
There would be.
Yeah, typically we have a surplus. Don't know it to date what we would have at the end of the year, obviously. And there's a number of things that could happen, but I anticipate a surplus for sure.
Okay. Did you have any questions about like utilization of that detail account or anything, Lou?
No.
Alright, yeah, pretty good, Debbie?
No?
Alright,
I wonder if while we have the chief here, if he would comment on administrative report,
Oh,
changing speed
Speed limit?
limits.
oh, yeah,
Do you have time?
jump into.
Do you mind
have
waiting a little bit?
5 seconds?
Chief, you got the floor.
All right. I'll see if I can answer.
Are you gonna raise the speed limit? I
Yes.
have no time.
This is a discussion.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about the 25 mile an hour speed limit roads, so I talked to the traffic, director at the DOT, and he said there's 3 ways you can go about changing a speed limit on a town-owned road. A, do a traffic study
With engineers.
with engineers, yeah. B, take down all the signs and don't have any signs, because that implies that it's the state speed limit of 35 miles an hour. Or put up 35 mile an hour signs. Or leave them as they are, but they're not really enforceable unless they're going 35, over 35,
Over 30.
over 30.
Yeah, because
Well, there's some roads that are 30, some are
Yes,
35,
the
it depends
state
on where they
law
are.
there was 30 miles an hour unless otherwise posted.
so it's not that we have to change and go up to the state, because the
No, we
otherwise
don't.
posted is the lower speed limit, right?
Yeah,
Cause we can have those lower
but you
speed
can't give out
limits.
a ticket for somebody going 26 miles an hour.
Which we wouldn't, but she's right. Technically, if there was a violation of a low speed, then it makes it difficult for enforcement.
Was that the primo facto, what did they?
Prima facie?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that what they're referring to, is 30 miles an hour?
Correct.
right.
Yeah.
So you
On
can
its-
say, hey, slow down.
Right.
But now you can still issue a ticket. I know this because
On.
I know this.
You
Now,
didn't get a ticket.
Well, it may not have been me, but
Right, and so, yeah, if you have a 25 mile an hour speed limit sign out there, I know for many of the years that I worked here, nobody told me that there wasn't a traffic study and those weren't signed off by the board, right?
but why would
I
why
think
would anyone
otherwise?
think that
Right.
that needs to be
So
asked?
at this point, as far as I knew, that these speed limits signs were posted after the appropriate process.
Right.
I and nobody's ever told me otherwise.
Right.
So if they're not, I can comfortably say that we're not writing tickets for 4 or 5 mile an hour violations. That's not happening. So if they're gonna be over 30, 35, 40, 50 mile an hour and a 25, the only thing that changes is the fine schedule, right? So the faster you go, the higher the fine, and that's based off the posted speed limit. So if it's 25 and you're 10 over, it's X amount. It's 15 over, it's X amount. It's 20 over. So that's where it comes into play, is what do I fine them? Do I go off at 30 mile an hour and we go from there? But standing here as the chief, I would say it needs to be done right,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're gonna post a road, it needs to be done correctly, and it needs to be enforceable. And there shouldn't be a question of that. It should be, this is the speed limit, it's been done correctly, and it's the law of our town, it's the rule.
And we would
Would it be-
find
I'm sorry,
them
go ahead.
records where? With DPW or who?
No, I'm sure they would all be here,
In the Board of Selectmen.
right?
Wouldn't the state have that?
I don't know the process once it's signed here. I don't know if we're required to send the state a record of what we post at our
Posted.
town roads. It's not a state road, so I don't know if we're obligated. I don't usually get involved in that
Yeah.
side, so.
But how would wouldn't the DOT do the traffic study?
I'm not sure if it would be DOT or a subcontractor
Oh,
Or
or a
that's-
private company.
State
Is it-
definitely does the state roads, but
Right.
yeah.
right.
Question. Would it be, I'll call it more economical, to have on the roads coming into town from all directions, one sign saying that the town speed limit is 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, unless otherwise posted?
I've seen that in towns.
See it in a lot of towns.
Yeah.
Um,
And that way you can kind of do away with the whole lot of stuff.
It's a broader blanket of how to cover things, and it could work, but in my opinion, when you look at a violator and you stop them, you know, it should just be abundantly clear what we're dealing with, right? And we look at reasonableness, and I think the citizens also, if they're gonna get called out on something or stopped and ticketed for something, they wanna know that it's a true violation and that things were done properly.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, we take it very serious, we don't issue tickets lightly, and, you know, I would just say that we do it right, whatever we do,
Mm.
you know.
Yet another thing that we could look into.
Yeah.
So that's from what I understand, I know the state, like on the state roads, like we couldn't, like if they're posted below 30, that wouldn't fly because the state minimum is 30, right? Or the
35.
It depends on
30.
what,
30.
yeah, well, it depends what that guy was telling me.
Is he talking about
Lambert, Bill Lambert, I think.
yeah, so he might be talking about,
Depending on where, if there's no homes, no businesses for a half a mile in either direction.
Oh, that's rural then.
Yeah,
I read
it's
that.
35, and then if it's,
yeah, I'm sure they have a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
scheme of how they post state roads.
right,
And however that scheme was developed through engineers,
right,
or best practice or live and learn,
Right.
you know, but,
It's interesting, you do an internet search.
yeah.
Yeah, because
And I
you
think I
get
saw
into,
that guy's report. I think it was that same name, he did, and he was saying how that the speed limit should be set by the 85th percentile of drivers
right,
on that road because that percentile seems to have a collective wisdom, and most of the time it's over.
Well, and that's
I
what,
mean-
when I looked into it before, about reducing the speed limit through town, the people from the state said, actually, it's probably gonna go up, because if you have us come out and do a study, then, you know, like, if we're gonna go based upon that 85% rule, cause our job is to keep everybody, like, 85% of the people in compliance. So you'll have a range that you can choose from, or to choose not to adopt it, but the hard part of not adopting it and leaving it the way that it is that if anybody is aware that this was done, then they can go and get that report and fight whatever ticket based on,
Correct.
cause he said you could see the speed limit going through the center of town up to 50,
Mhm.
like based on people's driving habits.
Right.
You know, cause, and that's where it came into, your options really are putting, like moving houses closer to the road, making the roads curve, like massive infrastructure changes in
Right.
order to attain that slower speed limit. And he did agree that it was kind of an anomaly to have like the 8 speed changes over a short.
Right.
Yeah,
Distance.
it's frustrating to a lot of motorists that I speak to of the rapid change in speed limit
Right.
through New Ipswich.
Yeah.
It's not unique to here.
It's like that in Wilton too.
Yeah, it's not unique for here, but it is, I mean, you just get up to 50 by SFAS and you're on the brakes,
Yeah.
Right.
going into Mill Street.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, and I understand when people tell me like, wow, I didn't even realize it, it's like, I just got to 50, I understand, but it is marked, you know, so we are reasonable. You know,
Yeah.
like Sunday I came in and at night, in the evening, we had some poles and stuff come down and wind blown, and I had a lady coming downtown Hill by the town office at almost 70. Whew.
Yeah.
And the car in front of it was almost the same speed,
Wow.
right? So, people, you know, do things, right? And then sometimes it just, the speed limit signs don't mean anything to them, and, you know.
Well, and that was the point. The state official I spoke to was the signs don't mean anything, and that's one reason for that 85-15 rule, is that, you know, like people are gonna drive how fast they feel like the road and the circumstances are allowing them to.
Right.
And not necessarily paying attention to the signage.
That
That
was
varies
okay.
a lot from a 16-year-old to a 50-year-old, and that's where
Yeah.
the signs do come in.
And it's like trained, right? Training, like people.
Yeah,
into-
experience
yeah.
too, right?
Mm.
I mean, as you go through life, you hope that you become a better driver, and two, you start to realize there is risk. Like, I can remember when I was 16, my first driver, you know, you think you're invincible, right?
Mhm.
And you don't know that an accident can cause property damage and hurt people. And then you start to see this stuff and you realize, wow, speed really does kill, right? It's the number one factor that we have in
Right.
town of accidents is speed. Number one. 2 is distracted driving. So, and that's why, to us, like, proper signage, posted speed limits, enforcement, it's all important,
Mhm.
you know?
And I was kind of getting into though, can't we have our own speed limit on our own town roads? Like the state doesn't come in and tell us that everything needs to be, you know, 30 or 35 minimum, like town-wide, which is kind of where this conversation seems like it's going.
Well, I told him it was for on town roads,
Mhm.
and he said you have to do a traffic study to get a speed limit.
But it's already established. Right?
Well, I
Like
told
it's-
him,
yeah.
you know, it's posted 25 miles an hour all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of different roads, town-owned roads.
So it's kind of funny, like where the conversation comes in, I don't know if it's the same angle that you were, but people are looking to reduce the speed limits,
Yeah.
and then it's finding out that, like, the more
Right.
you keep asking to reduce, they're actually probably gonna go up if you start
Right.
pushing too hard, like to
Exactly.
actually have these studies done, like,
Yeah,
once we do the studies, we have to, we're bound by them,
exactly.
right? So,
Mhm.
But the thing there is that a lot of the roads, like even the road I live on, Old Wilton, is posted at 25. And in all honesty, the road could handle 30 miles an hour without a problem. You know, it's one of those things where I think, if I remember correctly, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, it was saying that town roads, it would be, 30 miles an hour or something like that, but you know, it could be
It's either 30 or 35, depending on the
right, but there was
what's
something
on the
about,
road.
you know, if it's a residential area, it's one, if it's and then it said that, but if the road is on it said if it's a residential area and you know, it's cited as a residential area, then it was like 30 miles an hour. But it didn't say that if you have a residential area in a rural zone, then, you know, what's really, does that 30 mile an hour stick, or does it, you know, need to be factored in slightly differently? I'd have to read it again,
Yeah, I put the
but
RSA in there.
it's in there about, there has to be, described somewhere as a residential area rather than a rural area.
So for this conversation, was there like are you looking to take any action? Or,
Just bring it to our attention, it's been on it's been
Been on your
mentioned several
radar,
times.
I just
Well,
wanted to
yeah,
let you know what I
And
found
that
out.
really confused me, cause I've seen 25 all my life,
Right.
and I agree with Lou, I think it should be 30, cause
Yeah.
it feels like it's just
At which point it
ticket
really,
generator, but.
yeah, I mean, if you put the signs up at, the entrance to exit and exits to the town, and saying speed limit's 30 unless otherwise posted, I mean,
That would be another option.
yeah, a lot cheaper than replacing signs.
I mean, it's a valid point, right? But again, are you now taking down the 25s or are you leaving them? Cause it's contradictory, so,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you take them down.
I mean, that's,
If it went that way, you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
by default.
yeah,
but
that
it
would be
sounds
my
like,
concern.
yeah, already you're not, like you're kinda giving that buffer already, right?
Sure, and,
Yeah.
and off the top of my head, without really thinking hard and long about it, I don't see a problem with a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Just semi-lighthearted, if we're done talking about this,
Okay,
and the chairman will permit it.
sure, lighten it
Okay.
up.
Not really lighthearted, but very interesting because I had to go on to the RSA's because, to see, because I didn't understand what the whole hoopla was about 25 mile an hour, and I came across section 265:76,
what's the title?
organized time trials.
Organized time trial?
So RSA 265:75 says no racing in the streets. Here's how it says. Notwithstanding the provisions of RSA 265:75, to the contrary, the selectmen of any town may, upon such conditions as they specify, permit the holding of time trials of motor vehicles on Class 5 and Class 6 highways.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I've read that in the past, but
I
I've never
thought
had
it
any
must
way
be
to-
old.
Right,
so
right.
are you
But
saying we
no.
could do a speedway?
Well, I think maybe
this
we
is it goes on to say that
want to hold a
upon
local
such
race.
conditions as he may specify.
Mike's like, I gotta go.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, it'd be the director of Parks and Rec, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, may upon such conditions as he may specify permit the holding of time trials of motor vehicles on Class 3 highways within the town, provided that such roads shall be closed to other vehicle traffic during the time of such trials, and provided further that the trials are sponsored and supervised by a duly organized corporation or association registered with the state.
So all those street races are they're not like trying to do it under no moon and all that stuff? Those illegal?
No, it has to be
They have to organize.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
what I'm
organized.
saying.
It's a highly organized race. is what it
Right.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are highly
They have to be
organized.
registered with the Secretary of the State. But if anybody has an organization like that, I'm pretty sure I'd be interested of them bringing it to the board
You have
to
to
discuss it.
throw that right out there with the constant asking about the being able to use the quads
I
like,
know where you're
in the
going, yeah.
streets
Yeah.
and yeah,
That's
but
another one.
yeah, but nobody will do it. Like no group will form, and
Right.
it's hard to get people to want to do that work. Cause it's like it's probably gonna take a few years, like to work it all out and
And it's
Yeah.
common up in the North Country right now. You have all your towns: Pittsburgh, Gorham, Berlin.
Gorham, you can't even drive a car on those roads.
Yeah, I mean they've all
You
made
can't-
town
it's
ordinances
crazy.
to allow certain, off-road vehicle traffic. But like I said, it takes an organization to put something forward to the board that's well organized with plans and how it's going to be enforced and signage and who's going to pay for that. And there's a lot
That's
that has
how
to.
they've implemented them.
It's the start, and it gets the conversation going, and then none of that stuff is really fast. local government works, it takes time, but, and then, you know, you're gonna pay for the signages and all that stuff, so, you know, then it has to be adopted by the board, maybe even voted on by the public,
Make special lanes on the road.
yeah,
Oh, it's
markings.
it's just an
and-
ordinance, so the board can,
Yeah,
vote on
yeah,
that.
but then you gotta make sure all the, whether it's signage or lines or traffic, whatever
Right.
traffic, devices that are needed, it can happen, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Fries are done.
so I started playing with
Fries are
that
done.
in my free time
Hmm?
a year and a half ago and found out that it was more than
Yeah,
just that, and it really needs like a group to head it up and push it through. It was one of the big hurdles as well. I thought the easy start would be the snowmobile groups, you know,
Right.
that have the permissions of landowners already to run on different trails and things.
Yep.
But they don't wanna touch it just because some of those landowners don't like the four-wheelers and all the
Right.
off-road vehicles, so then they lose those permissions potentially, like from those property owners.
correct, yeah, it's touchy.
So none of those people that have already done some of that work and understand it wanna be attached to it at
Right.
all, because they like their local winter stuff, yeah. So it's another interesting topic.
It is, it'd be really neat to have all the time in the world to go over these things.
Yeah, I just looked at the rule, and this is over in speed limitations. And basically in section B, it says 30 miles per hour, this is basic rules and maximum limits. 30 miles per hour in any business or urban residence district as defined in RSA 259. And then 35 miles per hour in any rural residence district, where there is a, you know, a rural residence district, and that's different from an urban or business residence.
Right, and that's why I said 35 and rural.
Right, so a road like on Old Wilton should be 35.
Davis Village, Appleton.
Hmm?
Davis Village, Appleton. It's all,
Cool.
we're all, pretty much all rural except for,
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, you know, but somebody did put up the signs for 25.
right,
Yeah, but nobody's prepared to make a motion to make any changes or anything like that at this time, right?
No.
No, alright, so move past this one.
let it fly.
Drawing
Okay,
on,
I won't
yeah.
waste any more time on it.
Interesting conversation,
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
I just wanted to bring, if you guys have just a half a minute, I just wanted to bring something up, but,
Sure.
unfortunately, Kelly St. Pierre, an administrator, her daughter passed away unexpectedly in her sleep. She was 18 years old. Yeah, so she's out right now. And so just keep her in your thoughts. It's tough on
And
her.
prayers.
Can't even imagine.
Oh, that's terrible.
And unfortunately, you know, she had yesterday and today off was vacation days. She was supposed to be at the beach, and she's at home obviously. She'll get some bereavement time, but I just wanna see if the board, just for a thought process starting right now, is just think about what we might be able to do for her financially if she's out for an extended period of time. I'm not looking for an answer today. But I just wanted to put it in your thoughts for right now. I'm not so sure how long she's gonna be out. It's a pretty heavy hit. She's very taking it pretty hard, as you can
Can't
imagine. Her twin sisters, you know, doing good, and the family is a unit right now together, but it's hard. I'm probably gonna head over there tonight and drop off some food.
Is there anything else we could do?
They're being pretty well taken care of at the moment, but as time goes by, that stuff kind of weans off,
Right,
you know, so I'll be in touch.
okay, let us know.
Yeah. In the meantime, I reached back out to Barbara Trim, who we kept on the books when Mary retired. Remember, she came in and was our part-time admin. She's coming back tomorrow.
Okay,
So I don't have a schedule yet. I just said, hey, please, we've kept you on the books. You know, we have the budget. Can you come in and kind of just pick up the pieces temporarily? And she agreed. We're very fortunate there. You know, Kelly works 40 hours a week, and she does a lot of work for us administratively. And we will fall behind if we don't get some help. So I'm very helpful, I'm very thankful to Barbara, and I'll try to work out a schedule with her moving forward, in hopes that Kelly returns at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, just, keep us in the loop
Sure.
as things go on.
Tell her
Yeah.
she is in our thoughts and
Yeah,
prayers.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a tough-
Sorry for her loss.
Is there any kind of like FMLA or something like that?
I don't know if we qualify because of the size of our town, but let's give it a little time, we'll just think about it.
Yeah.
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 I had all intentions today to go to Roger and pull up to see what she has for balances on, paid time off, sick time, etc. But my day was completely, the whole department was out straight the whole day. As a matter of fact, I had to call guys in, so I'm working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, keep her in your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, good seeing you.
Be safe.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day, thank you.
Yeah,
Take
see ya.
care. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
Alright.
You must be Pat.
I am.
Excellent.
Good evening, Mr. O'Malley.
How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Pat
How are you?
serves just fine.
So, you need to shed some light on some old reports for us?
I would love to for you.
Alright,
I wanna preface this whole thing with, I do work demolition and environmental remediation full-time. In the state of New Hampshire, you have to go through what they call ACAC certification, which is a stack of books like this high.
yeah,
I have not done it. I am not licensed to consult on mold in New Hampshire. But from what I've seen from your reports and stuff, like I told Jason I'd come in and explain it. The reports I saw were from 2006 and 2007.
yeah,
What you have to understand with mold, it is only a snapshot in a window of time. I could test this room with the room closed, the mini splits off, get a result. Walk out, walk back in, do that a couple times, test again, you can get a totally different result.
okay,
From what I've seen through the reports, you did have a couple of hits. One was concerning to me, was the stacky buttress in the old police station. The counts were not very high, but that is a toxic mold.
yeah,
It was actually used in germ warfare back in World War II. It requires a lot of moisture and a lot of heat with a constant presence of both. But talking to Jason, I believe you fixed the roof on that building? Cause I don't, in walkthroughs I've been over twice with Jason, I have not seen any evidence of what I would classify a mold problem. You have a couple of small areas here and there that I'll gladly tell you how to take care of that at a very minimal cost
yeah,
that would take care of that issue.
okay,
Could anything be living in the, like the ductwork from the AC and that kind of thing?
Very good question, but mold requires organic material to live. It has to have some kind of organic material to eat. Jason asked the same question we were walking around. The exterior of those pipes are insulated, not the interior.
Right.
So the mold will not live just on the pipe, on the
Well, I was
galvanized
thinking
metal.
like inside, if some kind of critter got in there, or just even dust, or
It's possible. I've done an awful lot of this stuff over the years. When I walk in that building and walking around it and looking, I still back up. I don't see any evidence of
okay,
something that was concerning.
right.
There are a couple of small areas here and there that we can spray down with a chemical that will totally eradicate what's there.
okay,
How many years have you been in this field?
32
So,
in environmental remediations.
so when you walk into a building that you know has not been conditioned since when? 2007?
I'm not sure when it was shut down.
What would you expect to see?
Exactly what I saw in there. You get an odor. It kind of gets a little complicated in there with the textile storage. which throws it off a little bit. Water, mold has to have water. There's one kind, it's called cladosporium. If you've ever had a problem in your attic on the north side of the building, go up in the attic, on the sheathing itself, it would look like a flat black paint, kinda. But it wouldn't attack the joists or the trusses or anything like that. Cladosporium is one of the few molds in the kingdom that can live minus heat and minus water. It will continue to go. I didn't see any evidence of anything like that in your building, which is kind of what I expected to see.
Oh, so what you thought you might see wasn't present?
Did not exist.
Yeah. Okay.
So the whole, I think, purpose why we invited Pat is because there's a renewed interest in building number 2.
Yeah.
And just to get a handle on what we would be faced with should we decide to look into renovating it and fixing it.
Yeah.
That's the mold aspect. We've met twice there on both wings. Is another aspect that I think.
I was very concerned when I heard what had happened. There is a federal regulation that you will not do any renovation or demolition without performing an asbestos abatement survey. So if you were to go in that building and start doing interior demo in there, and DES ever found out, you would become a poster child. You would get heavily fined.
So what's it called, asbestos
Determination survey.
determination?
That I am heavily licensed in like 6 states.
So,
What a survey would entail is, understand asbestos is in over 3,000 building products, to try and quantify it. Say it was this room, I would take 3 samples of the ceiling material, window glazing, window caulking, baseboards, the adhesive behind the baseboards, rug adhesives, vinyl tile, 12 by 12s, 9 by 9s, you test the tile, you test the adhesive, you're gonna test the roofing, you're gonna check any mastic along the edges, through the flashing, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
What I did offer to Jason was, if you're gonna do something in there, I am fully licensed for that type of work. I'll do the survey for you, just cover the lab costs, I'll do everything else.
Okay. Do you have an approximate idea of what a potential cost could be, like for that?
I'll come up with one for you,
Okay.
cause it goes by the amount of samples that you take.
Gotcha.
And when I turn that in on a chain of custody, I'm gonna tell the lab to do what we call positive stop. So say I have 3 samples of the ceiling, the first one comes up, no asbestos detected, they go to the second one. If the second one had asbestos present in it, they don't sample the third one. So you don't get charged for that sample.
Yeah.
And it's under $20 a sample, so you're not talking major money at all.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to go through and recollect what I saw in there and come up with an approximate amount of samples to be taken.
Okay.
And I'm gonna overestimate that.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Because whether we renovate or demolish,
You have to have a survey.
Right.
if that's done without the survey, we run a high risk of years in court.
Yes,
yeah,
DES won't be happy.
no,
Not at all.
and I mean, I know that from the building department, that any demo you have to, I didn't realize if it was
A
Reno
lot.
also.
a lot of people are misinformed and they would say, oh no, that's only on buildings built before 1987.
That's
Which
like
was
me.
in print for a little while.
Yeah,
In the environmental world, the strictest regulation supersedes everything else.
right,
And the federal regulation states, I don't care if you were just gonna tear this office apart, you have to have a survey done. The only way out of that, the only caveat to it, is to get the architect that built it to write you a letter that says no asbestos products were used in the construction of that area. And you will never get an architect to sign that letter.
Yeah. you know, it'd be worthwhile, and it sounds like the cost could be, you know, minimal enough to like gain that information, and I appreciate you being willing to go in and do all that work for our
Pro
town.
bono.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Do you agree, Jay?
Oh, I think it has to be done no matter what. Now, if there was asbestos, what did you call it? The testing, if that was,
Determination.
If we find a
Determination.
positive result,
no, if that was done in 2006, would that hold up to the, what did you say, 2017 law or something?
I'm not understanding.
So back when they did this mold test.
Oh, when they did that testing? Yep.
And when they were renovating the building, if they did the asbestos sampling then, would that still be valid today?
Yes,
So.
as long as the interior of the building had not changed.
Okay, so,
I don't know what they did.
Which they went in and did demo, so then you'd think if there was testing that it came back negative, but we don't know if there's ever any testing done in the first place.
right, and that may not have been such a
A thing that.
Like an
thing
awareness
back
of
then,
it,
I
yeah.
don't know.
It's a thing, but yeah, it was still a big thing in 2006
It
and
was.
2007 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, but it would behoove us to look and make sure,
yeah,
and not have him do something that. has
My
already
recommendation
been
would
done.
be, and it, you know, if it's from a financial standpoint, this is gonna be under $1,000. Take advantage of it, get a new
Oh,
survey.
That's your gut,
Yeah,
under 1,000?
oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Alright,
All you're gonna pay for is the samples that come back positive. And I'll get you a chart, give you the lab certs, and give you my estimate on how many samples I think will be taken.
and now this would be a certified test
Oh,
that we
yes.
can
Oh, yes.
put in record, and if DES comes over, we hand it over.
In this state, there is no discipline for asbestos inspector unless you're doing a school. So my certifications are EPA trainings, and I'm licensed in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island to do that type of work, inspection work. I'm more than covered up here.
Good.
I do it quite a bit.
yeah,
The mold I do on the side, because the company I work for, that's the only thing they don't do.
gotcha.
So would you recommend doing a mold study test or whatever again?
I can informally run a couple samples in there to get an idea of what the building is, but it's nothing you could, you know, legally stand upon.
Right,
But it would give you a feeling for what's in the building,
right,
and I would recommend we spend $100, if that, and buy this certain chemical and spray it on that area that we saw, and that stuff just goes away.
disappears.
Remember what I said about the flat black on your sheathing?
Yeah.
I owned a house on Philmont, and when I sold that, the inspector went up into the attic crawl space, and that's exactly what he found behind some insulation. I got that chemical, suit, respirator, glasses, went in there, soaked it down with a pump sprayer, wait 10 minutes, do it again, the plywood comes back like brand new. And this stuff soaks in, because mold has roots.
Mm-hmm,
That's why it used to say use bleach. Bleach doesn't penetrate, it's
Right.
not gonna kill to the roots. This stuff will kill down into any porous material. I gave the homeowners a 2-year guarantee, check back with them twice, it's never come back.
Okay,
Talk to Ralph, cause he asked me for the link for that product.
Oh, yeah.
So he gave that link to somebody just used it in town.
does it have, cause I used to work at Ace Hardware and we got some stuff that they were starting to use when they were building houses, because once you spray it on, it won't
In the current market now, there are
It's like a
EPA
blue
certified
and green.
encapsulants that you
Mhm.
can use.
yeah,
That will inhibit and stop the growth
Yeah.
of mold. A lot of people will do a mold remediation and then
Yeah.
spray it, so, I mean, it turns as white as your whiteboard.
right, yeah,
looks
no,
like
this
you
didn't
painted
do
it.
that, it was,
Probably a borax-based product.
can't remember, had blue and green on the label.
The stuff I'm talking about is called RMR, mold
Oh,
remover, or I forget what the last phrase was.
Yeah,
Go online, go to the RMR site,
okay,
go to YouTube and punch it in and watch some of the videos.
Yeah.
I did not believe it until I tried it.
yeah,
But that is just something that, you know, if you guys wanna do it yourselves, you can purchase it. If not, you know, you buy it, I'll spray it. But whoever's gonna do that has to have a suit, a respirator, and some safety glasses or goggles on.
okay,
And it will eradicate everything that I saw in that building in 20 minutes.
alright, yeah, I guess I'll look forward to, you know, seeing an estimate and something that we can move forward on, potentially. 'Cause
I
it's-
think he just gave one. It'd be under 1,000,
no, I know,
so.
I'll come up with a better number for you, Jason, that's not hard. I'll have it for you tomorrow.
yeah, something written,
Right, but it will be an estimate though, because
yeah,
like you said, the tests will stop if there is asbestos.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
only be charged for the samples
There's
that
3
they
samples
analyze.
per.
Yeah.
Do you need another walkthrough to come up with that estimate?
No, I got a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I remember. And will the stuff being stored in there, that won't impact,
No, sir.
it wouldn't
Nope.
be hiding underneath a
Nope.
pallet or.
When you spray, how long do you have to stay out of the building, or can they go back in right away?
Well, they can go back in within the hour,
Okay,
and that's an overestimate now.
okay.
I mean, I spray it, I soak it, wait 10 minutes, let it dry up a little bit, go back in, spray it again. By the time I get everything back in the truck and my suit off, it's done.
it's amazing,
yeah, so just, cause we don't exactly know what Warwick has over there too.
right,
I would just like to, you know, make sure that there's no interaction possibilities like with the different products, or that we might not ruin like something that they have in like a specific area.
We could go through one more time, but the area that I saw it was up on the second floor on the last walk. What was that, in the
Mhm.
back corner here?
Yeah.
There was nothing stored in that area.
Okay,
There's some empty spools.
yeah,
That's all there was. Now, you said you saw some on the other end, possibly.
no, I think it was
Or was
still
it on the
like this
sheetrock?
end, like on the sheetrock on the lower
Mm.
level, but it was just surface, like you go over, it it wiped right off, like from the sheetrock or the paint, yeah. So it wasn't
That's,
anything too concerning, yeah, cause I know that surface mold isn't,
as far as the asbestos survey, is there chemicals and stuff involved in that? Would we?
No, nothing. It's me with some hand tools and some plastic
So you'd just be taking
sanitized
samples
bags.
of
Yeah.
building materials?
I take a quarter-sized piece of, 3 pieces of, say, this ceiling, put it in different bags, fill out the chain of custodies, label everything, make sure it's all legit. It goes from me to UPS and down to Virginia to a lab called Sanair Technologies. I have an account there and I can get a better price for you there.
so then we'd probably fund this through the general government buildings.
I would think that. So
And it's not gonna be that much money, folks. And I'm
No, I know,
I'm
but-
gonna pay the lab bill and you just, whenever you figure it out, get it back. It's not much,
Yeah.
really.
So you believe $1,000 or 1,100, like for the chemical,
For the asbestos survey, it would be under $1,000.
yeah,
For the chemical, you're under 500 without a doubt. I'd have to go
and
see
the
what
500
cover-
would be to do everything that you're aware of, right?
Correct.
But if we just got a small amount to see
Yep.
if it was effective, like,
Yeah, you can buy, I'd have to go back on the site, John, but I think it was like,
I'm not trying to be different, I'm trying to come up with a number for a cause I feel like we wanna move forward with this. Am I wrong? Like Lou, do you have anything against moving forward?
I think we need to just do it and whatever it costs.
Alright, I don't
As
know
far as
whatever
the
it costs, but
As far as the asbestos,
oh,
get that baseline.
spray
oh,
up to 1,500,
well, yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, the mold.
For the mold part, let me go home and take a look. I'm not gonna have a chance to do it tonight, but give me a couple of days, I might have some still.
Yeah.
The type of mold that you saw, that we saw,
Mm-hmm.
what, is that not so concerning? Is it a common
Not to me, no.
house?
No, like the stacky buttress I was talking about, okay? The stuff, the cladosporum you would see is dry, so when you touch it, you know, nothing smears. Stacky buttress, like I said, requires a lot of heat and a lot of moisture. Not a lot, but constant supply of both. And when you rub your finger along it, it will be sticky and it will smear. Anything I saw in there, nothing that concerns me.
And the sticky, smeary stuff is the toxic stuff.
Get out.
Run, don't walk.
I had to close down a police station on the South Shore that had the police upstairs, the health department, and a couple other folks were downstairs. Turns out, with mold, you always gotta figure out where the water's coming from,
Right.
okay? They never put French drains around the building. So imagine this being the basement with a small soffit wall there. In exploration later on, when I peeled off some of the soffit, it looked like Katrina had come through. There were beds of
Really?
moss behind it. And the poor health inspector ended up going to Mass General. He had mold growing in his lungs because he was in that atmosphere for so long
Ooh.
Wow.
with constant exposure. I've never heard of that before or since,
Yeah.
but I agree, you gotta get ahead of this.
Yeah.
But what you have in there is nothing.
Yeah.
And I can run a couple of samples for you while I'm doing the asbestos survey. It's only 5 minutes a sample at 15 liters a minute. I'll get you pricing on that too.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't
As I
have-
said it, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
as I said, it's nothing, I'm not legally a consultant in New
Yeah.
Hampshire. But there's no rule against somebody running samples for you for your own knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir?
That there aren't any drains around that building.
Yeah, I noticed that, I was walking it with
Just a
Jason.
platform, yeah.
Alright, yeah, so I think it should be able to be, you know, come up, it's just the funding source, right? I like to make sure that we can fund things before we move forward, so if we can find the money, like in that government buildings, you know, budget,
Building maintenance.
Yeah.
not the building maintenance, trust fund, but our general
Yeah.
government buildings, like operating budget,
The maintenance
yeah, the
Yeah,
maintenance
that's what I was
budget.
talking about.
line
Yeah.
item. So it looks like we do have some.
But that's where you'd have to get with Mark and Peter, to make sure, cause you don't know what they're already anticipating spending
Mhm.
out of that,
Okay.
so that's why I suggest, you know, just double checking there to make sure, like,
We could call it beautification. We have a line item for beautification.
I saw
yeah,
that.
Well, you could cover that with the mold one, but doing the asbestos sampling, I am not gonna make it beautiful.
yeah,
The beauty of what you have over there is a lot of times I would come into a place like this and they wanna know what they have, but I'm not allowed to poke holes in the walls or rip up rugs. It's like,
Right.
how do I do a survey, a non-destructive survey? And
Right.
So you get kinda creative and you peel the baseboard off and snap some sheetrock from behind here and then tuck it back in,
yeah,
you know? Over here, there's no issues here.
yeah,
I didn't see any evidence of pipe chases or insulated piping anywhere.
well, that was all already probably ripped out,
Right.
I wasn't gonna say it.
a long time ago.
How about under general government buildings, then just the maintenance budget?
Yeah, that's the line that we were talking about using, was that one. But then again, just checking with Peter and Mark to make sure that
Yeah, 'cause
they're
it's
okay
there.
with the money coming out of it.
Mhm.
That falls under there.
Alright,
I thought you were gonna make a motion.
no, we don't need it, it's under $5,000 and,
Okay.
yeah, and if there, like, if he approves the expenditure, if Peter
Okay.
does, then it's fine.
Yeah, and then,
Now, I've got
well,
a
you
que-
would have to do this after business hours, cause you work.
Yeah, or on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Not on a Sunday,
We
though,
can
folks.
coordinate it.
Yeah,
So
either me
government
or
building
Mark or somebody would be able to let you in then
Mhm.
Yeah.
to do that.
up to
If you're going to do
And it's
any
gonna take me
renovation,
it will take me a while in there. You're talking anywhere between 4 to 8 hours.
Is that right?
Really?
I'm very thorough in what I do.
And you're doing that pro bono?
Yeah.
That's really nice of you.
It's what people should do, right? Not everybody does it.
Love
They
it.
damn well should.
I agree.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I live here too, folks.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome.
Be paying
Appreciate
for the
it.
lab.
Jason, if you're gonna do renovations over in Jeff's building, do you need to have some of these tests done also?
Oh, what kind of,
I didn't wanna bring that up, but I was thinking it.
The asbestos survey.
You know,
Knocking down walls across the street.
at least the one for the asbestos confirmation.
In what building?
The police building,
the rental building?
the one we're
The
leasing.
one you're in
The
now.
one we're leasing, yeah.
where the PD
Yeah.
is.
They're gonna plan on doing some renovation.
You have to have testing done before you go doing interior demolition.
There's the answer.
Well,
Okay,
there goes our budget.
right?
Might as well have that done too, right?
Yeah,
Oh, it's a part of like, we can't approve anything and then have that roadblock. We
Right.
have to know and address
Right.
that ahead of time.
It would be
too.
a nasty surprise.
It has to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, it would
has to be
be.
done before you do it.
Yeah.
So if you could,
Now we're into a lot more than pro bono.
yeah, Oh, yeah.
We'll work it out. Don't worry about it. I'm not. Seriously, I'm not.
Alright,
okay,
I do foster care. Been doing it for a long time. People should stand up and help other people in this world. My view,
Agreed.
my opinion.
appreciate that.
you're awesome.
I do well enough with what I do during the day. It just keeps me really damn busy. So yeah, I mean, how big is that building? I've never been in there. They take up
It's like a
the
25.
whole thing?
2/3.
2/3.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
It'd be like 2,800 square feet, I think we figured.
Is it that much?
I don't
You
know.
doing renovation in the whole thing or just that new part?
No, it'd be the flooring in the old
The whole
and
thing.
some demo in the old.
Okay.
What's on the floor? Rug or probably not?
Both.
Both.
There's
Asbestos
vinyl
tiles.
there's a new
Are they 9x9s?
No, the 12x12s, I think.
Still can come back out. Or the adhesive underneath it can come
Right.
back out also.
Yeah,
So in a situation like that, how do you remediate that? Can you floor over?
Yes, you are under no obligation by anybody unless you are a school to remove the asbestos. You can go over it.
And that's
You just have to include that in like a full disclosure or something.
Yeah.
Like the Bernie you got down the other end of town. You know, you're putting that out with knowledge that there's asbestos on the outside of that building, I would imagine. Those are transite shingles for sure.
Yeah,
Well, the one in Greenville.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's
Near
Ipswich.
Greenville.
There you go.
yeah, the last house.
It looks
in
like
New
it's in
Ipswich.
Green.
I know.
I thought it was in Greenville, so when you were
Yeah.
telling me, I'm like, that can't be the same
Yeah.
house.
yeah.
And then shingles are just the dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
So you want him to give us a quote for across the street too?
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, just making sure that, the money's there to expend and then we'll give you the go ahead and
Mhm.
sound good?
Well, the
May I
money for that
propose
building over
something
there
then?
could come out of the police rotation
Detail
Budget.
revolving.
Yeah,
Depends what it is.
because that's where all the renovation money's coming from.
potentially,
We don't know yet.
yeah,
We have to see how much it's gonna cost.
Right.
alright,
What I'll propose then is, do you have any time Saturday?
This Saturday, I think I might.
We'll just walk through both buildings so I can be a little more accurate in my estimate to you.
Alright.
I mean, this one will be quick. I'm just walking through and counting, and it'd pretty much be the same thing in the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll coordinate that with Jeff and,
Jeff and
Every-
Warwick,
alright,
just 2 emails. And I have to coordinate it with Chief, cause he's
Yep.
gotta let us in.
alright, thank you,
Okay.
sir,
You're welcome,
It's
folks.
Saturday, we'll be in touch.
You got it.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
great night.
much.
Thanks,
Very
Scott.
much for your-
have a good night.
That's super nice.
I can't believe how fast this agenda's going through.
And apparently Steve,
Fast or slow,
Slow.
apparently Steve isn't coming.
yeah, so you wanna just, we're not gonna go over the
Table that.
transfer station discussion, cause the only reason it's on the agenda was Steve had,
Requested.
requested and had responses to some of our discussion that we had before and wanted to correct the narrative on a couple things.
Yeah, he said when I talked to him Saturday, he said he wanted to show up for it.
Yeah, I talked to him, he came in, he said he was gonna, I called him today to remind him and tell him what time he was on, but he didn't call me back.
So do you wanna like read this out, since he typed it
Unless
up and
unless
signed it
he's here.
essentially,
I think we should, if he's gonna come,
Yeah,
so
I
give
feel
the
like we
opportunity
should
to come
raise-
in to
yeah.
have the discussion.
That's my
Okay.
opinion, cause he was,
So can you reach out to him and see,
Yeah.
when he would
Yeah.
like to discuss it, or if he would like us to discuss his, written
Yeah.
responses?
okay,
Cause he went back through and, watched the video, a couple times and has everything time stamped.
Yep.
So, excellent, I think we can go through it pretty accurately, but. Alright, so that brings us to the old and new business. On the second amount of money, we don't need to make additional motion to accept it because we did in the original,
correct,
right?
right,
And what are we talking about there?
The
Second
receiving
tranche.
the second payment from the ARPA funds
Oh, okay.
in the amount of $282,295.65. We received that check, was it this last week, This week?
no, Monday,
Monday? Alright, so that's officially in the account,
woo-woo,
so we can
start spending,
review some
start
talks
allocating,
of potential allocations or not expending any more of it and holding on to it to see, like to cover ourselves potentially in the next year or two with the rising prices and not knowing what infrastructure things we may need. Right? Is that kinda where you're going?
that's where I'm at, I'm like, I don't know how it works in a municipality, but if everyone else is getting hit hard, it seems like we're gonna, as a town,
Yeah.
you know, be scrambling to find funds. I also briefly went through the Dropbox on the federal regulations there. And I saw that you can put it in an interest-bearing account and draw the interest and put that into your general fund and with no accounting to the federal government.
huh,
Yeah. Did you read that?
I did not see that,
So if
That-
you,
that
if
was
we
in-
had the trustee of trust funds
Yeah, that was in,
recommend an
in one of
account
the, yeah,
where you could draw interest on it,
yeah. That was also in one of the discussions back in March,
was it?
one of the webinars that they had, yeah.
It did give me a little bit of, how do you call it? Dread might not be the word, but anxiety when I saw
It excited,
what it's called.
it excited the cockles of your heart.
No, when I looked at, again, them saying what this money can be used for, I hope it's being used. When we get audited, that we're not gonna be strings attached.
Well, they changed the ruling.
Again?
No. But like they had all these other rulings first,
Mhm.
and then they had the final rule. I want to say it was April something.
Or
Yeah.
June?
April
I
or
saw
June.
something that was
Yeah.
in June. Was it
That
June?
kind of negated all the other stuff.
Right, good.
So it depends on what you were reading.
Final,
Effective April 1st, a whole lot of things just kind
Yeah.
of went away.
Yeah.
A lot of restrictions that were on it.
So try to read after that date and don't get mired down too much in what was
Right.
We'll see.
November and December of last year.
you know what,
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter what I read,
You don't want
I'm
to
just
Right.
waiting.
Right.
I'm waiting for the ball
He's
to
waiting
drop
to
on
say,
us
"I
and
told you
smack.
so."
Oh no, I would take no pleasure in saying I told you
I
so.
know you wouldn't.
Because that would mean it impacts me
Yeah.
as well.
Can I do my own old business?
Yeah, we're gonna let Debbie run us through her stuff first, and then
Okay.
we'll get to ours.
Cell tower, I have called and called and called, and he has a voicemail that's not set up supposedly, and I have sent emails, probably at least 4 to 5 of each, phone calls and emails to Fran Parisi, and have gotten no response. The first one I sent back in February, I got a response, and he said he was gonna check into some stuff, and then crickets since then. So I don't know what's going on.
So I had spoken to him, I think in January before you came on, and
Yeah.
he was right there with things.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same
That's
when I
odd,
called,
yeah.
talked to him in February, and then
just nothing.
fell off
like
the face
since
of the
then.
earth. I don't know. You would
Okay.
think if there was, like, I checked his website for his law office. Like, I was trying to, like, is there another number I can call? Because I only have a cell phone, and there was nothing that said like the company went out of business or bear with us during something or nothing.
I
Nothing
think he
to
may
let
not
me
have
think.
enough customers for the cell tower to make it worthwhile.
He already had people signed up.
He had 2 people signed up.
He had AT&T that was waiting for approval.
And
He
Verizon.
had Verizon and he had US Cellular or Sprint, one of them.
I did know about
Yeah.
the last 2.
So then my next option was gonna go to look to Vertex, cause that was the company he was representing. So he
Yeah.
was the attorney, so I was gonna try to call Vertex and
Yeah, if you could,
That's
please.
see
for
if
an
I can
update,
get
Yeah.
somewhere.
Good thing
But
we
there's a
had
bunch of different Vertex things and I was trying to find the right one.
Yeah.
It was kind of,
Was-
so,
Yeah, it was Vertex Towers something.
so I know this paperwork or whatever with phone numbers on it. And then we already went over the changing speed limits. The SVA's stats are in there, and did you wanna go over that or?
No, I didn't have any questions
Okay,
with him.
alright, you just
I
wanted
had
to,
Yeah, I did do that.
a curiosity question.
Yeah.
Just from looking at the news and how the lockdowns of the last 2 years have had an impact on people's psychiatric health. I think I've seen like 100% increase in kids is nationally. It's substantial. I'm curious if it's reflected in these numbers.
Yeah, you'd have to look for the year to year,
you have to
right?
look back, yeah.
And I don't know if Wendy had made a change, cause we just started getting these reports regularly last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was more of a curiosity thing.
yeah,
Our town has felt the same thing as the rest of the nation.
And then the last thing was the Warwick Mills lease. I heard from Mr. Howland through email, and he said that, which one? Oh, did I print 2 of the same? That's stupid. Yep, so I didn't give myself the
Would you
Mr.
like,
Howland one.
Okay.
But he
Refer
said,
to it.
yeah, just for a second. He said they wanna concentrate their use in the in the two-story end of the building, and they wanna start to rearrange and edit their stored stock. And their goal is to get under 10,000 square feet. And then, Amanda, when she had come in, she had said, she wanted to revise the section 3 of the lease, which was the rent. So I just wanted to figure out how are we still gonna do this 3-year increase thing? And, she wanted to add that, it's by the square foot price, not by just a general price. And then how much do you wanna use, how much do you wanna charge per square foot?
I'll tell you what I have a problem with on square foot price. Is that if you go out and look at any commercial space that is not improved, that could be used for offices or for just cold storage like this one would be. The cost is running right around $12 per square foot per year, or $1 per square foot per month. And the numbers that, we're talking about of leasing these out are 10 cents a square foot.
Yeah. Which is still higher than where we're at currently.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
And that's why we're, proposing to start stepping up the cost.
Yeah, but it's not stepping up that much. I mean, it just, I don't know how the rest of you think, but I think, that, we'll never get to use that space for anything else if it's so cheap that they can't afford not to have it.
Okay, I can understand that, and then that 10,000 square foot goal represents roughly half the space, right? Can't remember what we're at total.
They're at like 17 something now.
Yeah, and it's close to 20 like total.
Yeah, we were using like between 15 and 1900, and they were using about 17,000.
Yeah. When they were supposed to have only been using
A little bit.
about less than 10 to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just spread out.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing there is that it's 10 cents a square foot. I mean, they're taking up a lot of space for $1,000 a month.
Now it's 15. That's what it's currently at, is 1,500. I believe they've started paying that.
Yeah, they started paying. They made the first $1,500 payment,
So
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
a 50% increase.
Okay.
but they hadn't had an increase in 5 years, and
No,
I think
and
he thought that was fair, right?
they
From what
understood.
it said.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, and I agree, but the option of, right now, there's nothing being done with the building. It's a source of some revenue, so why?
Not really.
But
'cause
that
it's just
doesn't
paying
mean
the
that-
taxes. Or like
Yeah,
breaking
but
even.
that's kind of a
Once it's
redundant
been used,
thing, because
If we don't lease it, there's no taxes on it. Their lease money is
who
paying
would
the
the taxes go to?
There isn't, cause it's exempt. It's 'cause we own it. It's a
That's
municipal
what I mean,
building.
so the tax part of it, to me, seems like a
Well, it
wash.
comes back
Well, yeah,
to
I
us.
guess. Right.
I thought we had
Yeah.
come to
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
before because
Yeah.
you were trying to make that point.
Yeah.
But it's still a positive
Right.
for us.
Yeah.
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 are they paying for any heating or electricity?
Mhm.
They pay the electric bill separate.
Okay. What's that running average per month?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't even know how
We've
much
seen it
electricity.
in our
I think it's like $1.
reports.
That's right.
It's really not very, it couldn't be too expensive. There's nothing in there. There's like 2 lights, right?
Yeah, there's not very many outlets that work,
Yeah.
and no light switches that I know of.
Yeah.
Like, cause they have to plug directly into an outlet and then utilize like shop lights.
Right.
Building number 2 last, let's see,
security
It was
system
$743.66 for electricity.
for the year?
That's what this says. Budgeted 2,000 and
But they weren't paying for the electricity last year.
oh wait, no,
Yes,
this is
they've
up to.
always paid the
okay.
electricity,
Okay.
yeah.
How come it comes in our expense report?
Cause we pay it and then they pay it back, I think.
Is that how it works? I see.
I know they pay it separately.
Building number 2, so this is actually to date of when? Yeah, this was July 26th. That's what we had spent,
Yeah.
so. It's not nothing.
Right.
About
So-
as much as we'll hopefully be spending or less for asbestos tests.
So do you want me to change, how do you want me to change that section 3?
Or do we? What do we have to gain by them moving to 10,000 square feet?
Well, think about, it's 10,000 square feet, where when they were taking up to 17,000, they spread it out. To 10,000 square feet, they're just gonna go vertical. It's gonna be.
They can't because it still says first floor of the building.
Still says, what, second floor of the building, right?
Mm-mm. Look at this number 1.
First floor, yeah, they weren't supposed to go
They're
up to the
limited to
second
the
floor,
first floor.
Okay.
and they went up to the second floor.
I mean,
And
the
then
second
up to
floor
second floor.
probably isn't close to 10,000
Right.
square feet, but I don't know how many square feet are up there.
So what were they looking at, changing in section 3?
The email that I put up there, in there,
Section 3, rent. Please add the lease price to be based on space usage. The rent price per square foot by year. And a frequency to review.
So at the rate that they're talking about,
This frequency.
you're looking at, 1,500 for, so that's 15 cents a square foot times 12.
So if they got it down to 10,000 square feet, what does that give us for a square foot price to still get 1,500?
15 cents,
$1,500 a month. That would
Okay,
defeat the
so it's
purpose.
15 cents per square foot per month times 12. So 15 times 12 comes out to
Well, it's 18,000. So all like the
$1.
numbers would stay the same. So then we just
$1.50.
change it to per square foot.
That wouldn't help.
So it's $1,
I don't
so
think that's what their intention was.
that's
no,
$1.80 per,
I think
Per
their
square
intention
foot
was to
per,
get it down to $1,000 a month.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's $1.80 per square foot per month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, $1.18.
18 cents.
18 cents.
No, 1.8 cents. No.
So it's $1.80 per year per square foot. Versus market value of $12.
Are we interested in making these changes?
No, I don't believe so because that 10,000 square foot area is what they're supposed to be in
To begin with.
to begin with. So they're gonna, go back into that zone, and it doesn't negate the point of the increases because it was undervalued to begin with for whatever reason.
Does that money even pay for the taxes on the building?
Yeah, over, like just a little over what the taxes are. Actually more, it's actually what is the tax, it was like 73,
I don't remember off the top of my head.
something like that, yeah, so it more than pays like for the tax portion of it,
There's also insurance and
yeah.
Yeah.
other
No, it doesn't,
expenses, but
it's still like it's, you know, I don't know what percentage less, but it's, you know, grossly less than the going rate for cold storage.
Right,
but it's not their fault either.
No, no, and that's why, like, going too aggressive with the increase, we chose not to do that, like a modest increase and then step it for 3 years to try to get close to where it should be, so that it made sense to even have their things in there, like, and to be, you know, leasing it out to them.
so, I mean, I can start off the rent section saying, based on the usage of 10,000 square feet of storage, the tenant shall pay rent, and then just leave the rest of it.
Is that 10,000 square feet?
Just, well, just put it down as,
It says first floor.
$1.80 per square foot.
The only problem with first floor is we have one room in the first floor that we're using for storage.
Right, yeah, but they're only using 10,000 square feet on
But
the,
that's
on
not
the
in
first
here.
floor.
It's not in here, is
Then
it?
it doesn't say they're using the whole first floor, it just says that the space that they're using is on the first floor.
And
And they
from what
spread
Charlie
out.
had said, it seems like they may want to utilize the up and down, you know, like the second floor, like to keep
Keep everything down one
like
end.
on that end and just
Right.
condense over to those 2 floors. So we need
So they want both
clarification from
floors
them.
Okay,
Yeah, like from that end, like that's what it sounds like.
So they want
That the-
10,000 square foot, so
On
they're
this
getting,
end of the
so
building.
they're getting 20,000 square feet.
No,
no,
10,000 square feet total on this end of the building, on the 2-story end of the building.
So they're only gonna be on the first floor.
It doesn't
don't
say
know.
that.
It doesn't, yeah, we don't know, clarification.
But I think in order to get to that 10,000 square foot, you'd have to take up a lot of that first floor area across the building.
Right,
Okay, but it says in section 1 about first floor of the premises located on 661 Turnpike Road.
That's all it says.
No, so like, does that section need to be changed to reflect what they're going to be using or what they're
Right.
looking to use?
right,
Well, if they're using floor space, then is it going to be a total of 10,000 square feet for
Yes.
the top and the bottom?
yes. He's saying he wants to get it down to usage of 10,000 square,
You have this in
Under.
there, right? Like
Yeah.
the email from Charlie?
yes, he does.
It's right at the top.
Right. Okay. So, but this lease says the first floor.
That's why he's asking.
So that's a clarification from them if they're looking to utilize the second floor so that we can reflect that on the lease accurately. Cause the original terms of this were not followed, I don't know when they started spreading out and, you know, taking up 90% of the space. So that's what kinda got us into this discussion in the first place. Well, one was the cost and then the review of what the actual usage was.
Okay, so, it still come out to $1, so $18 per square foot per year, right?
$1.80 per square foot per year.
$1.80 per square
Right.
foot. Okay, for 10,000 square
Yeah.
feet. So if they take the first and the second floor, that's 20,000 square feet.
No, I'm sorry. That's 10,000 square feet total, like that's what they're looking to utilize. And I don't know
Okay,
how packed, more of a definition of what they're looking to utilize on that end. Is it the top and the bottom and I'm assuming it would be a total of 10,000 square feet, cause that's what he says the total square footage would be. In that end of the building would be
Right.
ideal for that.
okay, so that's why you're going to change section one.
We're not gonna change anything yet.
Until we hear from him, how is he gonna get to the 10,000,
Okay.
what spaces are they looking to utilize so that we can adjust things,
Okay,
which in my opinion kinda works out with some of the conversations that we are having, cause they could essentially continue to utilize that area potentially, while if any renovations were to take place, we could concentrate on this other end of the building where renovations had already started to begin with.
and they're looking at using the one,
This side,
this side over
The
here.
two-story
Oh, okay,
yeah,
where the hole is up in the ceiling.
Correct.
correct, yeah, the mysterious hole,
That nobody cut,
yeah,
that nobody
That
created.
nobody wants to admit that they took it out.
yeah.
So then, if they got it down to 10,000 square feet, you said the going rate is how much? How much is the going rate annually per
Still
square foot?
$1.80 square foot.
No, the going rate you said,
$12 a square foot,
12
dollars
for
per square foot.
unconditioned.
$1 per square foot per month.
And we'd be at $1.80.
And when this all started, this kind of review a couple of years ago, it was at I think $7 a square foot per year.
That was last year,
Was it last year?
we opened it up.
Yeah. So that was the rates that we had found before. It was in between 7 and 8. Yeah. So
So we're still, if we change that to read 10,000 square feet and leave everything else the same.
yeah,
It may not be
more
what they're
clearly
looking for.
define the end that they're going to be looking for. Yeah, put the 10,000 square foot total in, but still keep all these dollar amounts the same. It's still a value to them
Yeah,
because we're still well below what
I
our
agree
market
with
value
Jason,
is.
I don't think that's what they were looking for, I think they wanted to keep it to around 1,000 a month,
No, yeah,
but
I know, but without,
they
yeah,
haven't had an increase in 5 years since they started.
there hadn't been an
renting
increase, and still it's under,
it, way under market,
yeah, and they were never supposed to have been throughout the building.
right,
So we could change first floor to 10,000 square feet.
No, that's it.
10,000 square feet on the first floor, well, we have to get clarification from them, are they,
No,
are they,
it
are they
says,
but does he want, he said on the 2-story end of the building, so is it all on the first floor, or does he wanna have some on the second floor and the first floor?
but for us, it doesn't matter. If he wants to be on that end of the building,
But then, but.
Well, it does to define it,
Yeah.
it's not, right now it's defined as the first floor.
Right,
So now we have to clearly define the area and the space, because we're looking at potentially retaining them, leasing the space, but then maybe doing
Possibly reworking.
improvements on the other end. So we have to have clear defined lines if that
Right.
scenario is going to happen.
so then, which end of the building is that? The north end of the building.
Yeah,
The
Just-
northernmost 10,000 foot area
Yeah.
of building number 2.
yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
think
upstairs,
you
downstairs,
give him the 10,000 feet wherever he wants it in that building.
Yeah.
But
On the north
we
end.
just need clarification if it's gonna be 5,000 square feet per floor or how he wants to break it down.
I'm assuming he would want both floors. That's
Yeah.
why he wants 2-story.
Yeah.
Side.
good, yeah, cause that opening was already created,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the other side has some advantages with overhead doors, so,
right,
Yeah, so it could be
that's what
like,
I figured they'd want,
yeah.
unless they're
no,
planning
they-
on
they
getting
like
all
the-
those big casket things out of there. To me, they look like caskets,
Yeah,
big wooden boxes.
alright, yeah, so then that's it, like, we're not changing the amounts, the 10,000 square feet is pretty much on the button of where we would like them to condense down to.
Do we negotiate with them through email? Through our administrator or?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is that the way we're?
Yeah, that's how they've been
I mean, they're
communicating.
paying now, they're paying what we asked, so that's, they're honoring what we
Mhm.
submitted, even though it's not
they
signed.
but they still have what, 17,000 square feet, right?
Right, and he did say it was gonna take time to consolidate.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna charge him extra for still having the 17,
That's right.
get it down to 10 as fast as you can,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
So you're getting free space for now,
yeah,
not free, but
yeah,
Yeah, you can get it down to
7,000 more than you needed or
See?
wanted.
You can
Yeah.
get it down to 10 just by going more vertical, but and stacking stuff up.
however it's done,
Yeah.
As long
I
as
don't care.
it doesn't fall on us when we're doing.
So yeah, does that all make sense to you, Debbie?
So I'm under 3 rent, I'm gonna write for the use of 10,000 square feet of storage space, the tenant shall pay and just keep the rest of it.
No, it's only section 1 that would be changed. Like in the floor area and how we would reference that, like that area,
Cause
Of
there's a
space, 'cause-
description of the premises being
Right.
rented.
yeah.
Right, but,
So section
that's why I
3 doesn't
thought-
change at all.
So, do
okay, I thought I was just adding 10,000 square feet on that
No,
part.
it'd be up top, would be 10,000 square feet in this, like, obtained through this portion and then this portion of the building.
Okay,
So it's clearly stated where they're supposed to be.
okay, well, I was gonna, okay, never mind.
so we're going to dictate where that 10,000 square feet is going to be.
No,
They asked,
dig, yeah,
and we're just asking, I just want it defined better on the lease, that's all.
Yeah,
And then if he intends on going and utilizing that second floor, which I am assuming, we can't assume that, so I would like this to be clearer of where they're supposed to be in the building, that's it, and then the 10,000 square foot total. We're not dictating, he asked, and we could dictate, cause he originally had said, which end of the building would you like us to concentrate on? And the response was, I'm not sure like what you're looking like to continue using for space, so what would work best for you, like you guys throw it around and this is what they've come up with and the approximate square footage that they would need to retain usage of. And in other conversations, like on a walkthrough at some point, I think one of the rep, Amanda or somebody else, had stated that they would be looking to further consolidate each year. They didn't realize that it had gotten out of control down there, like and how much stuff was in there.
and they weren't taking out stuff that should have been thrown out, like there's trash in there,
Yeah,
well, trash to them.
yeah.
So now what about the, review, space usage? Do you want me to put that somewhere or no?
Oh, where they can revisit it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, another option is to not do a 3-year lease.
So, yeah, well, no, we're defining where they can go.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're looking to go outside of that area, they need to state something.
Well, I'm
Like right
guessing
now.
they're trying to shrink down
Yeah.
So they'd like the
below the,
capability
they want,
of
so
lowering
if they
their
go,
rent.
Oh, like
right.
to keep, alright,
yeah, so if they're gonna go under 10,000 square feet, then they would have to pay less.
yeah,
'Cause they're looking at it not as a total per year, they're looking at it as
The
a
square foot price.
square foot price,
yeah,
which, I don't get that, but,
well, that's the way most leases on storage type buildings are written on. That's why I said it's $12 per square foot per year. Because that's how they sell it, because they know that they've got a lease for a year minimum.
yeah, I don't, like, per square foot per year. This year, next year it's $2, the year after that, it's $2.50. And if they, condense down under the 10,000, then yeah, like we could review and change it.
Is
Right?
there already
So I guess I don't know how that would be written in exactly, but
$1.80 per square foot per year, that's what you guys want.
You can't say you guys, cause you're part of us guys.
I'm not saying I'm agreeing with it.
so if like instead of the 18,000 per year, like for year one, you could just put it in at $1.80 per square foot
Yep.
per year, and then year two, change that to $2.40, and year three it's actually $3. Cause it's all based on that half a building, like originally before we went in and even saw that they had taken up the whole building over there.
So, $1.80 per square foot per month.
Per year. Cause they're using 10,000 square
Oh,
feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it would be 18,000 for the year.
Yeah.
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 Got it. Okay. Okay.
So if they cut themselves down, they may come back and ask for, other than they committed themselves to 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, for this year, yeah, and then, so now I understand the review at the tenant's request.
Right. They may wanna lessen.
That's,
How much they're
so
using.
there's the problem with, going to the square foot price,
Yeah,
because now their rent's going up big time next month, because right now the building's fully occupied.
What?
If you're saying $1.80 per square foot annually, right now it's fully,
no, but we're gonna
We're-
go off
we're
of their
basing it on their
10,000,
10,000.
like that ideal that they're trying to get to, which was the starting point of this whole thing, was roughly 10,000 square feet. Cause there's not a lot of upper area,
And
Cause right now they're not on the
seems
lease
like
at
they,
all, are they?
yeah, so we're
oh
not,
yeah, they're under lease.
yeah,
This is in effect unless it's defaulted on or, just stays in effect.
well, it wasn't renewed.
It doesn't need to be.
Oh. I
It
thought
will
it's-
remain in force
Where does
if
it
it's
say,
not.
where does it say it doesn't need to be renewed?
If the tenant is not then in default, they shall have the option to renew the lease. Default, tenant fails to make any payments.
Basically says the term of lease shall be for 3 years.
Yeah, so if they fail to make payment or breach any other condition of this lease, which option to renew, is that a condition? Anyways,
stays in effect,
so,
they
yeah,
pay the bill.
so they,
It's the
right, they
same
pay the
thing,
bill,
but we're at
yeah.
the point where we can review this right now, and that's why we're
Yes.
doing it.
Right, so they're based on 10,000 square feet and then all those amounts. And then where do you want me to put the review? Twice a year.
I think the annual seems,
Yeah, so let's do an annual review instead of
3
allowing
times.
like a two, well, she said not more than 2 times per year.
A biannual.
So where am I?
Guess I don't really have an issue with that. Who would they do the review with?
You
They
guys,
just come to us and say, hey, we think.
we're cutting it down to 5,000 square feet.
So in the event that they do, I guess the amount of revenue is not significant enough for us to be worried about it.
No.
If they do start pulling out of that building, that's,
Well, yeah, then that's fine too, right?
yeah, because it seems something's gotta happen with the building.
Yep. Well, yeah, 'cause it's getting to the point of needing improvements like one way or another, so if we're gonna maintain the building to a degree where they can stay in there, you know, 'cause once the roof goes, then, you know,
Right.
it's a whole nother story, so, that's gotta be on our radar of, you know, improving it, or just they pull out and we just let it disintegrate like other things have disintegrated over time around here, or take more action, faster.
Either way, yeah, I'm okay with the wording changing.
Where am I gonna put it?
In that section 3,
Or 2, 'cause
is
that,
it 2?
Term.
Well, you know what, it says earlier that, I'm sorry, later on, that as long as, that there, option to renew, item number 22. If the tenant is not in default, tenant shall have the option to renew the lease for 3 additional terms of 1 year each.
I mean, can I just put it on that section 1? Based on 10,000 square feet to be reviewed, square footage to be reviewed not more than twice annually.
That means you're going to adjust the rent on a per square foot, or you're gonna commit them to the 10,000 square foot for the whole year?
Or do we add a section and just say,
Because if they can look at it, twice a year and say that they reduced it by throwing away the garbage, then that means that they're reducing the amount of rent that they're paying.
correct, so are we going to allow them to do that up to
I-
twice a year,
think they
or
should.
just, is it just an
I think
annual?
they should commit themselves to it at least a year at a time.
Alright, Jason?
Yeah, I think so. I think I agree with Lou.
Okay, that's reasonable to me. So that'll be once, like an annual review before the next year starts.
okay, so,
And that's
Under-
where
so
we go
under
to
term-
section 22.
so under 2, term, I'll put, space usage to be reviewed at the beginning of each year? Or the
A month
beginning-
prior to,
Yeah, okay.
It's like renting a 3-bedroom apartment and then say, well, I'm not using the 3rd bedroom, so I want my rent reduced.
well, it's a little different, but, you know, 'cause it's just a big wide open space, but I get what you're saying.
Okay, space usage to be revised 1 month prior to each year's renewal date.
Sounds good.
Alright, and then I'll
And it's
contact
going to
them
have the
about
escalation clause on
not changing anything else.
for subsequent years.
Well, that's the option to renew, that would go beyond the 3 years. So,
So you're tying in the $1 a square foot for
I'm adding that in. I'm gonna do
under the terms,
under rent, I'm gonna put $18,000,
Mhm.
which shall be payable at, which will equal $1.80 per square foot
Annually.
annually. And then the next part is $2.40. I'm just adding those amounts
Right.
to the end of that sentence, of each appropriate sentence.
And the terms
And then
is where
the
you're
second one would be
putting the
$2 and.
Yes, this terms is where I'm adding space usage to be reviewed 1 month prior to each year renewal date. And then I'm gonna clarify with him if he's using up first and second floor, and I'm gonna, so I'll put that in the first floor, or first and second, whatever, for a total of 10,000 square feet.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
Alright. So, since you had some old business,
I did, do. When we got the F-550, truck and the, now it's up, going for fitment of all the equipment that needs to be done. The price of the truck and the, refitment came in at much higher prices. So we had originally said that, we were putting in, maximum of the 62,000 or whatever it was for one of them, and 64,000 for the other. And the truck actually ended up costing us 70 or 71,000, and the refitment's also up into the $70,000 range.
have you heard about this?
I didn't know it went up that much. I knew it was a little more expensive, but I didn't know about that it was that much, but it's coming out of that capital reserve, right? I'm sure he wouldn't have ordered it if he didn't have the money in there to order
The
it.
money's in the capital reserve.
Right, and that's what,
Right, but we had put a limit on when we made the motion for the money. We had put a limit
Yeah,
on
the
that.
total dollar amount.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was like 130,000.
So, like without this, I'm just like
134.
pulling numbers that like that would have been good to have, like that, like those solid numbers. Is there like a quote or some type of form to go off of, like from the dealer, like that?
Yeah, I
that
got
reflects?
that.
We did have the quota at
He
the
told me
time.
130. Cause I asked him for the VIN today, and he said it was 130 in his email.
I'll double check. When I talked to him, it was like, 68,000 or something, close to 70,000 for the truck, and a little bit more for the refitment or vice versa.
So we need like those two things in hard numbers, like from like the dealers, like that we're getting the things from,
Yeah,
to see if it's gonna be over or not. You know, cause there's nothing we can act on now, like, cause now it'll be just a matter of like Debbie going back and getting that information like from Peter, so that to see if it is over the exact dollar amounts.
Cause he did have to end up getting a different truck than he originally got the quote for, cause they,
Yeah, one came in
no, the
Right.
price, the
sooner, or
prices
somebody
had gone
backed
up.
out of a deal
Right,
or something,
yeah.
yeah.
And
The prices had gone up on everything.
What did you last hear the total was, Deb?
I thought he emailed me today and said 130.
Cause that's what we approved,
Right, up
Yeah.
to 130, yeah.
So if you can just double
I'll
check
double check that.
all
email.
that and even get the actual
Invoice.
paperwork, yeah,
I think I might have that too.
okay.
Okay.
Alright. What was the second thing, Lou?
Oh, one was the truck, one was the fitment of it.
Oh, the fitment?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, just like those
Because
two,
there were two separate line items
yeah,
on the list,
mhm,
and that's why, one of the reasons I had asked about using the ARPA funds for the fitment of the truck.
Right.
alright. Jason, did you have anything?
I was wondering if the assessors met with the state last week
Yes,
or this
so
week?
it's not the assessors, it's the assessing company, it's not the board of assessors.
Right, it was
Right.
M&M.
M&M, yep. So, Dave Marizoff met with Alan, and everything is, they agreed on something, I haven't gotten anything in writing from Dave or Alan yet, but he said everything should be all set, Dave said that,
That
M&M
they
said.
came to
an agreement.
an agreement
Yeah.
of what the
Yep,
land was worth.
yep,
Now was M&M,
M&M,
M&M
M&M,
Plain of Peanuts.
not like the candy, M&M.
Oh, M&M.
so were they under any direction as to, did they have latitude to say, cause when we
The
talked
state
with the
did.
state, we talked about maybe trading land.
And I don't
Yeah,
think that
he
had
didn't-
been worked out yet,
Yeah.
we're just trying to get that value to start that.
Is
Right.
that what they
phase.
were
That's what they're,
attempting to do?
they were talking about how much he thought that piece was worth
Okay,
where we have people.
so we'll be getting something soon.
Yes, yep.
Excellent.
So, are we talking about the trading land for the cemetery work?
Yeah, with that easement
Right.
area that was
Yeah.
in question.
Yeah, to be honest, I would really like to see that money. They said they wanted 25,000.
That's what we're trying to,
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be a part of getting to the bottom of that.
Yeah, because I saw that they already gave us 3 quotes depending on how it was done. I remember seeing some document where, if they did it this way, it was gonna cost this much, if they did it this
Yeah.
way. And the third one was the most expensive.
Yeah,
And I don't care which one we do, I just wanted to make sure that they got paid their $25,000 before they changed their mind.
well, yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
see what happens with it, because it was not something that could be signed off on at that time.
No,
Right.
because it's not going to,
We'll see what
it's
happens.
not gonna happen for another 5 years anyway.
At minimum,
Well, we're looking to put agreements in place sooner
Nah.
than that.
Yeah.
much sooner.
To avoid that, so the state people agreed with trying to keep that, like, those values the same, so they were working on their end, like to help the whole scenario,
Help
like good,
facilitate it,
like
yeah.
get
No, they-
dealt with now.
The state's been very good about
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, and then the other one, is the old salt shed, has,
Still waiting for Ed to do the boundaries. He's
And then
apologized 1,000 times.
what about the, soil test?
Don't ask about that.
I think,
I still have to, the only thing I had so far was the, taking soil samples ourselves and sending it to UNH, but we don't know what to send them a test for, and I feel like we should get someone to do the testing for us.
cause that's part of the critical
Yeah,
Yeah,
thing of
Yeah.
doing anything with that property, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder.
sorry, still taking or making notes about the assessing and state stuff. So what, you said that we could take the samples ourselves and send them out, or?
yeah, to UNH, but, and we just send them samples and say,
We
Huh.
want tests, at minimum,
but
we would
we
want.
have to pick which tests we wanna test for.
Yeah,
We
isn't
don't-
it spelled
we don't
out
know.
in the title? Because that's the whole issue, is that title.
No, yeah, no, that agreement you're talking
Yeah,
about between Thayer and
yeah.
excuse me, yes and no, it doesn't specifically say, it's like we have to clean up any metals that are over there, you know, if we,
And then there was concerns for PCBs
That was in
that
Right.
was written.
yeah, but there's other stuff that we don't even know.
So
But
so
the
what's
thing
the
is-
hurdle with the actual soil?
Just trying to find
Scientist.
someone
Oh,
to
There's
come
there's a person
do-
locally that does environmental services and soil sampling, Mike Aganis.
oh,
Is he from Greenville or?
No, New Ipswich. He lives like just down the way.
okay,
I can get you his number. I didn't know that you were having trouble
Yeah.
finding someone to do that.
yeah, cause like I'm
Okay.
Googling and trying to find and,
Yeah.
okay,
And
Perfect.
we were advised to do, what was it, a level 1?
Yeah,
Soil.
Yeah.
level one testing.
yeah,
I don't know what that
I don't either,
means,
that's
but-
why
would.
the UNH thing wasn't very helpful,
Oh.
cause they give you like a menu, like a restaurant, like you're picking a drink.
Yeah, I've done them for my water tests.
Yeah, yeah, but you know you're just testing for specific things. I wanna test for arsenic, I wanna test for iron, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the soil, we don't know. Okay.
There's a name.
Yay, get right on that.
Yeah, looking at that property, that looks like there's a lot of oil spilled, or at least inside the building.
I always get the red pen, that always means
Yeah.
I'm in
So
trouble.
this is important. I didn't realize that this was something that was being held up.
Yeah, cause
Or
of my
something like this.
inefficiency.
And then the last one occurred to me as I was going through our folders,
Yeah.
the water treatment. And I apologize if I've already asked this.
It's okay.
Did we put it out to bid
No,
to get prices for remediation of them wells?
we did not.
Are we planning on it? Because
No.
I was looking at the number, it's like 3 times the amount of what was proposed for PD reno.
What?
Isn't it $130,000? Did I not see that right?
No, so that, oh, you're talking about,
The
Where is it?
PFAS
so that is the
remediation.
whole thing over the course, that's if we have to, he's sending out letters to those 12 to 15 other abutters. And a certain percentage of them, if they come back positive and we have to remediate all those wells, it's a high estimate and that's what we applied for the grant for.
So the person who's doing this is sending out the letters is not the same person who would be coming up with a remediation plan, is it?
He hired a company, so we have the quote and everything to do the remediation at Wilder.
Hmm.
And then we have, if any of those other ones, and we have to do the same thing there. So the grant that we applied for was for $133,000.
That's what I saw. So
Yeah.
now, that's the question I have, do we go with what this guy
But that's,
proposes, or do we maybe use this gentleman here, might have,
Didn't we just have some paperwork that came through about, it was going to be like 5 or 6 apartments that were actually sharing a well?
yeah, that was part, in that report,
Okay.
that was
And-
the condos.
Right, and what they were planning on doing is building a small building or cap of some kind over the well and do the remediation at that point and then
correct.
go
Yeah.
over, okay.
But so this is what I'm asking, if we're looking at potentially doing this filter system for 15 houses, would we?
And that's
We
where
would put it out to
the
bid.
grant comes in to play, cause the
That's
state's
what we
gonna
were-
reimburse
Right.
Up to
for,
that much.
for
Right.
that amount of money. So
But
we're ahead of it, and without going through that person, there's deadlines at the state level that we're within hours of missing.
Yeah, we would have missed
Yeah.
the grant opportunity.
And then been forced to cover the whole thing
of
ourselves
taxpayer
potentially.
dollars.
So forward thought of, you know, addressing it instead of
Mhm.
hoping, like crossing our fingers and hoping for the best.
I understand and I appreciate the heads up that he gave us, but the actual work
That was me.
to be done.
Not him.
Oh, I thought he said it was because of him that
He-
we met.
He did the application. When I called him
Hmm.
and I told him, you know, there's this grant thing, I talked to Amy and he's like, oh yeah, he says, I'll fill that out for you too and we can get that in ASAP. Okay,
Oh.
so you didn't,
So sorry, so it was your conversation with Amy where
Right.
she stated the deadline, so not technically
It doesn't
him, but
matter.
yeah,
It's
no, I
not-
just,
yeah,
No,
it's
it
neither
does-
here nor there.
But either way,
doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
you know what my
Yeah.
point is the contractor who's going to be doing this work, building this
we're,
well house,
yeah,
that we will put out to bid, or at
No.
least get prices, or do
Yeah,
we
so
just-
we got a rough estimate, then we get a couple rough
So
estimates for it.
we're putting down the concrete pad.
the town
We're
is.
doing that, yep. Peter got a quote for the concrete pad. And then he got quotes to build the shed. And there's a certain company you have to use to do this remediation part of it, to do the actual filter part.
But there must be several of them, or is it just?
I don't know if he got several quotes, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I would assume it would just be a certified.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
certified
there's
P-
yeah,
Is it PFAS?
yep, and
This
they're
is not something we can do in-house.
no, absolutely not.
No, I know.
No, but it's like you have to be approved by the state to do it and all.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a whole thing.
But
yes.
even, so my thing is even with grant money, we should have, get the best bang for our buck.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
Alright. Has Manhattan Security come in yet? How's
August
everything look?
3rd.
Yeah,
I haven't got the report back yet.
okay,
They couldn't get to a lot of stuff in building 2 because of the stuff that's piled high,
yeah,
so they couldn't like test a few of the detectors in there.
okay. So and those could be some of the, like, the detectors that could be having a problem, right, and setting off the,
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if it's from condensate, cause it happens every time it rains or it's really, really humid. Like that beeping noise
Yeah.
you heard, like the fries are done. And that's when it happens, but when it happens, like, he's like, when that happens, run down there and check the board and find out, cause they don't know where to troubleshoot and where to chase it.
It was annoying Pat
Yeah.
and me. Me and Pat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if you go in there
We were in
again
there,
and
we're
it's
like, "Oh,
on,
it's that,"
open
and
that
then-
panel and see what it's telling you, what lights light, take a
Oh.
picture with your phone, what light
I
is
will.
lighting up. Cause like we never, I mean, I'm 90% of the time I'm in the middle of something,
Well, I've
when
heard it
that
when
fry thing goes off.
when
yeah,
I've been at the Green Center too. It was
Oh, really?
all afternoon. It's
yeah,
been-
it was the weekend, so it'll run until somebody comes in to the office and
Oh,
hits whatever you guys
More
hit
than
in here,
once.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Do we have sprinklers in building 2?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Alright, and then so look forward to that report from them. I know we kinda touched base on this before, but Bob Romerl and Lisa are good to go for the primaries,
Mhm.
like everything's all set?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, can I interrupt there?
Yeah.
Could we invite the people who are running for state rep to a meeting and have them introduce themselves? I think I've seen 2 candidates, cause Paul Summer is not running again,
Yeah,
so we have 2, I believe there's 2 candidates. It'd be interesting for people to be able
I
for them to be
think
able to have a
yeah.
spot here to do a meet and greet, or if the video committee could
Yeah,
set up their first political
Oh, so-
interview or
Yes,
September
Serios
13th is
is
the
one of
election,
them.
so we're not gonna have a meeting that night, we'll have to be over there.
what,
Yeah.
September 13th?
Yeah,
yeah, that's the primary.
that's the primary.
So I
So
don't
just
know
push
if
that
it's
other
something
date to the 20th then?
Okay.
that we would do, or if the video committee would take that on themselves. Probably not, huh? They might do it if they were asked.
We could do it, usually we do something like that, like the week before, like the candidates night that we have for our town elections is the week before. Then that's coming in after Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it's the Tuesday after Labor Day. So September 6th, invite candidates.
Well, do you think that's a good week, or should we do it on the 30th of August?
Probably would have to be coordinated with them, or
Well, it's our night and we're making an
It's true.
invitation.
can make
Right.
an invitation if they can make it, they can.
And right, it's 2 weeks notice, right, or no, not 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be.
Are you agreeable to that, like having a state rep candidate night? Maybe it started at 7,
I can't be here on, well, yeah, I can be here that night on the 30th, that's fine.
So did you wanna do the 30th or the 6th?
I don't
No.
care, I can do either one.
well, the 30th,
Okay,
cause I think we'll run into a lot of complications for the 6th.
okay. Okay,
Sorry for the interruption.
yeah,
Yeah.
get some contact info.
It was worthwhile. And topical. Something new and a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, so that would go out to all the candidates, just not just the New Ipswich candidates for rep, cause there's other, cause New Ipswich doesn't get to specifically, it's our area, right? So there's other people running
I have
from
the
different
ballots
towns.
in there.
Yeah.
Well, there would be the
I'll
Senate,
look at whoever's on the
Yeah,
ballot.
so whoever
state,
runs
whatever
that,
state offices there are, yeah.
Yeah,
I just know of.
so we'll look at that,
candidates.
like the rep level and just invite those reps.
Executive council as well.
I'll
I'm not sure all the offices that are.
look at the
this
ballots.
Yeah, good.
Okay. And see which is most localized.
Well, I have the
Yeah.
ballot.
Yeah.
That came
Yeah.
in,
Cool.
that we're gonna be using, so,
Alright,
cool.
and then the other thing I was looking for is an update, from our fire chief on how the first month of the hourly has gone. I know it's hard to project out over a
Mm.
month, and I know different months are busy, but kinda wanna keep a monthly eye on that, cause I believe she said they were gonna pay out monthly.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah,
So-
there is a paper in here that wasn't there.
And then seems like there's a lot of different things going on with the cemetery, and work being performed on the cemeteries and the different people associated with the work. So I didn't know, like you're the liaison to that group, if you can kind of try to, broach that subject with
We
them.
did.
Yeah.
Last meeting that we had, and I'll say, I said it at the previous meeting and I'll say it again,
Yeah.
their restructure.
Yeah.
Restructuring the whole committee.
Did
Because
you ask
Ollie,
him to respond to me when I send him an email? That'd be cool.
so that's in the works, they, Bernie pointed out that right now they have 2 members.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's our policy to have 3, is what he said. So they have 2 trustees and 1 sexton,
Right,
and the sexton typically wouldn't vote in a committee like that. He's a worker,
right,
is how it was explained to me. And the committee would be the one who does all the
So would they be,
direction. So really looking for another person to,
have they gone out like to try to recruit like for themselves or?
they didn't recommend any names. I told them if you have a name, bring it to the select board. It'd be nice if the person could come in.
Yeah,
Either way, we can appoint somebody to fill that. It's an elected position, is it? No? The cemetery trustees?
yeah, the cemetery trustees, that's,
they
yeah,
are, but-
yeah,
So they're vacant now. Or
okay,
at least one person. But very much aware of, the transition from, I don't know how long Ollie was in charge of that, it was many years.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so there's a lot of stuff that they're absorbing.
yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so I guess, we should look to appoint, like make that appointment so if they have
It would help.
an additional mind, like helping
And
out.
there's a lot of work for them to do.
Yeah,
We've met at South Cemetery and then we met at Central. And I know it's kind of a joke with people at the March vote
yeah,
to write in their buddies as a practical joke, but it's really important work these guys
right,
are doing.
Mhm.
And I think it's really interesting. If I was in here, I would be on that committee.
yeah,
Just you get to know the history and a lot of
It's
the families in
amazing.
town, and just walking with them this last meeting we had. I've never walked that whole Central Cemetery.
yeah,
So, anyways, a little plug.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
good. And I only bring it up because a different issue came up within the last couple days, so
I'm sure.
just wanna put it on your radar and just let you know, like it's still kinda, yeah. Alright, so we're looking for possible candidates to appoint to the cemetery trustees. If anybody's interested, please reach out to Debbie at the town office.
Okay, I had to reach out to Ollie today. Cause I had 6 people come in,
No.
yeah,
Also, I think the zoning board only has 4 members, and they probably should have 5.
Alright, yeah, when
Oh,
this was
yeah,
brought
it's
up
Jim.
before, the Jim stepped down from that
yeah,
officially, alright,
resigned, yeah,
okay. We just have to double check on that just to make sure,
Mhm.
cause we were looking at making possible appointments last year. And then the initial inquiry would be like to the zoning board to see if they had any potential candidates that they'd like us to consider.
Mm-hmm.
they swore Sue in as an alternate. She can't be a member cause she's the admin, but they swore her in as an alternate
Okay,
in case of emergency.
But she would still end up being a non-voting.
Not if she's appointed as, if somebody didn't show up and they needed her to fill the role of a member, then she can vote.
So
Just
she
like the
can't-
just like the planning board.
I didn't think that they could, but okay.
cause were you an alternate, like when you're on?
Yeah.
Okay,
On the planning board,
If you're called on to be to replace a member who's not there, to make a quorum.
mhm,
So if Lou Guarino wasn't there
mhm,
and they needed that body and they would appoint Craig or whoever else was, whatever.
so no, but the
If a
question
member
is
is-
town employee, cause it's Sue, so it's like
Oh.
more specific to if she can't be a member, how is she eligible to be an alternate, like to be a voting fill that role.
Yeah, so they've always done that though. I was an alternate on all 4 boards.
You were an alternate on the planning board, but then they found out that it was actually against the regulations for you to become a voting member.
No,
Yeah.
As town
No.
clerk or what?
no.
Can you just double check that, just to make sure?
Yeah, no, that,
Cause it seems contradictory, you know, like,
yeah,
yeah. I understand that there's exceptions in like for temporary situations,
right.
but what the definition of that temporary role would be for her.
What's the point of having an alternate if they can't vote?
And that's what we're getting to, cause if she's not eligible to be a member, then how is she eligible to be an alternate? And
I don't know
I'm
that
just
she's not-
questioning myself,
Yeah.
like I'd like to just
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah, cause I.
Well, I don't think you can't be one. I don't think you can't be a member, but like, time, you're there anyway.
Yeah,
You're the admin for the board.
yeah,
I had to vote a couple times.
I know,
Anyway.
that, and after that all was all done, I kinda remember reading something that really wasn't allowed, but it happened anyway.
Oh.
I'll work.
So it's the
Sounds like
alternates being an employee thing, not just an alternate.
correct.
No, an alternate could be one of the employees, it just couldn't be the person that was being the secretary to that committee. Whoever was
Which in
doing
this
the
case,
recording.
Sue is the secretary, like.
Right.
Whoever was doing the recording for that particular committee could not be a voting member of the committee.
And you saw this somewhere?
Hmm?
You saw this somewhere?
I did, I'll have to take a look, try to find it again. And that was only true for the planning board, but not true for the zoning board. Which was really strange.
Okay.
I know Wendy had requested about the board doing something for Susan. Cause she wants her on the board.
On the zoning?
What?
So we need to make contact with the zoning board
Yeah.
to see how
Well, I
they're doing.
just said Sue got sworn in as an alternate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
But they need another member to replace Jim.
right. But didn't you just say,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
done? Okay.
Alright. Yeah, that's all I had for the old new. You got something extra?
It's not extra, it's
Overtime.
the obvious thing. I
Obvious?
would like to start getting prices for that PD reno. So I don't know if it needs to be authorized or
To
if
get
Debbie and
prices?
I can get together and
Prices for what?
for quotes.
No, you can get
to do
quotes
the
for
PD
anything.
renos.
Yeah,
So
Oh, okay.
if we can just
Quote
sit
away.
down, we'll come up with, we'll take these plans that Matthew Wardwell did and we'll pencil in the scope of work and
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
all good?
sure?
Alright, shoot it.
And I've got one other thing, is there's an email that just came out today, yesterday, within the last week or something like that, about there's a bunch of free grant money available for lowering diesel emissions,
mhm,
so that if you're buying a new truck to replace an old truck, that burns clean diesel for the new ones,
yeah,
that is eligible for being paid for by the grant money. And also like changing generators over to run on clean diesel,
yeah,
and a number of other things similar to that. So
Alright.
we might wanna just kind of, I'll send you the thing that I saw about it,
I think
and
you already did,
you distribute
I
it,
saw it.
and then just keep it in mind that if you can think of something, since like, I know Peter was talking about getting a generator for the
yeah,
for the thing. and that might be something they could pay for that.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it came out last week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I shot that over
yeah,
to you, that could be a good opportunity, I think I
Mhm.
copied Peter.
you did,
Okay.
Yeah, so that has been, so just, touch base
Yeah.
with them, I can't I don't remember who responded favorably, but somebody,
Yeah.
they seemed highly
actually, I
interested in
think
it.
Sue sent it out,
I don't even, I just know, I
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
it was like a favorable,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was Sue that sent it out.
And then the other thing is that, Jason, any thought being given during the renovation of the police department to get them a generator?
It came up during
Yeah.
the hearing,
Yeah.
but in my mind, everything's contingent on that dollar,
Yeah,
what the
but
actual numbers come
But, it's one of those things that maybe that will, that could fall under the same thing. Because I think they were talking about, besides clean diesel, using, propane.
Cause right now they have a plug. And they would have to get the generator from there, so they're not
Right.
without a generator. It's
No,
just
but it
not
has to be
very
brought over
convenient.
from the,
Yeah.
from.
It has to, yeah, be brought
Yeah.
up from
Yeah.
there and,
So I mean, if we can set one, I don't know how much electricity they would really need up there,
Mhm.
but if you can get an 8 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, and run it off propane, cause that everything else runs up on propane up there.
Is it good?
I was the one that responded, this could be an excellent opportunity.
yes.
And it was Sue, yeah,
That's all,
yeah,
So definitely keep that in mind.
yeah,
yeah. No, that's great, and there's only so much money available too.
yeah, so
1.4 million isn't a
Yeah.
lot when you
For the
start talking about
statewide.
those
Who's
types of
giving the money?
things.
That's why they also
The
stated in there,
NHDES.
the
Oh,
sooner,
right.
the sooner you get your request in,
right,
the better your chances to,
Right.
to get the money.
okay,
What do you sign away for?
So, yeah, right.
Huh?
So eligible projects include vehicle, engine, or equipment replacement with new diesel, propane, CNG, or electric units, idle reduction technologies, and certain retrofits and upgrades. Eligible applicants include municipalities, school districts, state agencies, and private businesses serving New Hampshire.
yeah, they were talking about like school buses and stuff too.
Yeah, replacing school buses with electric buses, replacing old plow trucks with new plow trucks.
I like the one for the boat.
Truck stop electrification, repowering an old diesel engine on a boat, or remanufacturing of a locomotive. So,
Get that train running.
yeah, we gotta get some trains going. Alright, so anything else? Good? Alright, so at this point, I'll make a motion to go into non-public
Before we do that, can
session.
we take a break?
Yeah,
Thank you.
15 minutes.
So you're making a motion to
minutes.
adjourn from the
Okay.
public part?
That's true.
Alright,
Do we do it?
no, cause it's all done in public
The order.
session,
Oh, and then you gotta go into
yeah, yeah.
non-public.
15 minutes?
I was being facetious.
Were you?
Yeah. You want 15 minutes?
No,
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Alright. So we reconvene at, what the hell, 8:20. I'm gonna go for it. Take a little nap.
take a breather.
Yeah.
My watch kept telling me this, time to stand, time to
Freshen breath
stand. I'm
air.
like, stop it.
Yeah.
Alright, BRB.
Good luck.
You mentioned in the thing.
I have this question myself.
I know
because,
what you got, I've got the
Yeah.
match of the same stuff.
So they're
How
going
did
to-
that,
I don't know.
from general fund, somebody transferred from general fund?
Which Debbie's gonna look into, like she took a note of it and she's gonna look into non-public session under RSA 91A32A for personnel issues. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.